Hello, hello, hello. It's Sassy Britches, Lady Lolo. Can y'all hear me? Can you hear me? We're just going to continue where we've been covering Cher's very first lives, which is very interesting. 2 years ago, what people had to say and what they thought, what they felt, and the stories has changed. Okay. Thank you, Lady Lolo. Hey, Sunshine. Thank you. Okay, we're going to get this started.
You ain't saying nothing yet. Hey!
Hello, everyone. I'm sorry that we kept you waiting a few extra minutes. We were on our way home from Walmart.
Sure.
No, yeah, I love to poop at Walmart. No, we went to buy Being Boozled for tonight's live stream on our joint channel to just hang out and not worry about any of this stuff and just hang out and play games and like put drama and everything aside for like an hour or two later. Hi, Graham Stories Obsessed. Hey, Amanda. Hey, Scouse. Hey, Mary T. Sheila. Yes. How do you say this? Say that word.
Indigenous.
Indigenous. What? Linguistics. Well, hello, you. Michelle M. Grab your snacks. Yes. Hey, Charm. Everybody. Okay. Ooh, 420 in chat. Listen to you. Hey, Light Pink Mommy. Very small. Hello, everybody. So, can you guys hear me okay? I think I got volume up. Oh. Yeah, my volume. Hey, Silent. Hey, Vicky. Hi, everybody. Jen. So, let's right away, because I'll show these a few times, but I am going to just show a little bit. I knew what was going on last night, but I didn't watch. We left the stream we did last night, and we went and I think did we watch a movie? Or we watched Seinfeld for sure, and then we went to bed. So I woke up this morning, and I was afraid to even look, but I did, and I just saw my feed, and right away, talked to Don. I talked to him at 7:30 this morning. We texted a little bit and then called. And yeah, Candace was still not doing okay at all. It sounded like they still hadn't slept, but she was still crying and everything. I'm not sure which one was the first one. What's that say? So just checking if they're all okay. Oops. Sorry, guys. And then, is this the same one? No, this is the other one. So he's like, it's my fault. It's our fault we were drinking. And I'm like, no, people manipulated you. Like, here's the thing. Everyone's so proud that they got that out. Like, oh my goodness, this is breaking news, right? Like, oh my gosh, look at this. This is news. No, it's not news. It's shit that we have witnessed over and over again. And we do have recordings of exactly what happened last night. But we tried our damnedest not to air that kind of shit. Whether you think it's wrong or right, I think it's wrong. In fact, I changed my mind on everything. And Mr. Cher's deleted everything. We don't have any more recordings of Don and Candace. Everything's deleted. I'm not going to share it anymore because now, at least in this, I've learned, like, for myself, I know, like, I don't want to be that person. Because looking at it, these boys are going to see all of this, and that's not helpful to them. You can say that the Wells deserve this. That's fine if you think that. That's fair enough on you guys to think that. Because even Don himself is saying that's fair enough, like, we fucked up, okay? I'm not defending his actions at all. That's not what I'm doing. He knows he's wrong, but I can't defend the people who have knowingly told them it's okay to come on panels drinking and smoking pot or whatever. I actually always did the opposite and told him to be on my platform. I wanted him to look nice, dress nicely, be sober, have no sunglasses on. Like, I was not willing to show any of that. And now after seeing today, I'm not going to show any of that. I was going to show it after Dr. Phil episode because I'm like, you guys are not seeing like the half of the shit. But yeah, everything's deleted. So you're not actually going to see anything released from us anymore. And if there is anything left, Mr. Cher is going to make sure it's deleted so that if I do get angry one day, because we all know how like, you know, I could change my mind one day if I get mad, right? We've all been to that place. Look at everybody today. But anyway, I don't want to be that person, so I don't even want to be tempted to air any of that shit. So it's gone and done. How can you be proud of yourself for airing that? And I know everybody was waiting for that hot clip like that right before Dr. Phil, right? So everyone is happy and rejoicing in what happened last night, and I can't do that because these very people, Doug, no thanks, Doug, literally knew that these guys were drinking and smoking pot and still like encouraged them to do that. Come hang out with us. Oh, I've smoked pot too today. Oh, I took 2 shots today too. You're good. Just come on panel. They wanted this. So as much as everyone thinks this is Don Candace, I'm also blaming all of them because they encouraged this to happen and they took them at a very vulnerable moment. Whether they're guilty or innocent, this is a vulnerable time for them because they are not in their right mind frame. Whether they are guilty, not guilty, they are not mentally stable either freaking way. And you knew it. You literally told them to come on and drink and do drugs with you guys. I hope you're fucking proud of yourself. How can you be proud of that? It's disgusting. Molly Golightly, you are trash. I've unsubscribed and I feel confident in calling you trash now. And I actually think people should leave trash cans on your front lawn because that shit is funny. Okay? Trash. Doug, no thanks. Trash. 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 The lab. Trash. You guys cannot be proud of that. I cannot believe that I'm actually seeing other people share it. Like, I actually want to give credit to Chill, Real Chill Grez. He wanted to post everything that everyone's posting today, and he was like, you know what, you're right. It's kind of a distraction and takes away from still. Is Summer home today now? Is everyone proud? Did they do their job? Is Summer home? Do we have more answers now today? Baby, have you heard? Do we have more answers now after all that? Is Summer a step closer to home now? Is everyone happy with themselves? Thank you, Beth. Yeah, you heard that right, Sandra. But men who trash women anyway is trash. But anyways, you know, I'll actually take that back on the lab. I don't know him well enough to actually say that, but I do know the other ones well enough, so I don't take them back. But I will take the lab back because I only know a little about him, so I will take that one back. Hi, Melissa. Are you guys proud of everything that you've seen? Like, are you happy? Does it make a difference? Is this news to you? Because I'm telling you, everything we saw last night, that's not them cracking. Oh my gosh, breaking news. They're starting to crack and turn on each other. That's been happening every goddamn day. That's a normal Friday night for the Wells, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's a normal weekend for the Wells. You guys did not get anything that's breaking news. All you did was air shit that we have chosen to not air on our channel. We tried very hard, and some of it started spilling over, which is another reason we kind of were like, we can't hide this. Like, it's getting harder for us to hide this from people. And you can say, well, why are you hiding it? Blah, blah, blah. Because I'm choosing to. This is my platform and I have the right to pick and choose. Now, did TBI get all of that stuff? Yes, you bet they did. TBI got all of that, but I get to pick and choose what I show here on my platform. That kind of stuff should have just been sent to TBI or law enforcement and not aired. You're crazy if you think them boys are not going to see all of that. How do you think the boys, you think you care about the boys? All these people say, I care about the boys, I only care about the children. That's a crock of shit, or you wouldn't have anything from the last 12 hours posted on your channel. Because I've been those boys. So I think it's shitty. I'm actually very upset for those boys right now because seeing that, that's not helpful, you guys. That's not something they need to see. And that's something that you absolutely have the choice of putting on your platform or not. But you're only caring about the views, as everyone says about me, caring about the money because that shit is all monetized now. And having the hottest clip right before Dr. Phil. And that's fucking sick. That's not putting those boys first. And when it started getting harder to hide that kind of shit, we didn't want to have anything to do with it. And also, yes, it was very toxic.
Yeah.
But,
and they weren't doing this right at the beginning either.
Yeah, it wasn't really until the whole...
It's getting worse.
It is getting worse, but this is not breaking news.
They weren't getting drunk and high every night when the boys and Summer was there.
Okay, so the boys have lived it. You're right, the boys have lived it. But do we have to keep rubbing it in their faces and make them relive it online? Do we have to do that? The excuse I've heard that actually today so many times is, well, the boys lived it. It's okay. No, it's not.
You don't know that either. You don't know that. They were getting drunk and high when the kids were there.
Well, they actually have admitted to that.
Well, occasionally, but not like this.
Yeah, we don't know. It's probably worse now than it was before, and that's the truth. Yeah. So sickening. Their children will see that. That's nothing new. That's typical Friday night for Don and Candace. All they give a crap out is views and money, and that's disgusting. This is about Summer. Yes, and we are no closer today now with all of them doing that and sharing that around. We are not closer to Summer being home now. That was not eventful. It was not helpful. You're really going to come to my channel and tell me to shut up? Like, you just look pathetic at this point. Thank you for helping my channel, you moron. Like, do you see, like, even that right there? You don't like me, and you're supportive of them, and you're actually going to come on my platform and tell me to shut the fuck up. No. Listen, again, they were fucked up, right? And the whole birthday thing, forgetting birthday, yeah, that does look bad. I will give everyone that they had to think about the birthday and they couldn't remember the birthday. But let's also keep in mind, you asked these people their daughter's birthday when they were drunker than drunk. They were fucked up beyond belief, and you're asking them serious questions like you're going to get serious answers, as if even when they're sober, they're answering shit seriously. You can't be shocked by their response on that. But they also have 8 kids between them and have a lot of drugs and alcohol and shit like that. Like, clearly their mind is not stable, and now everyone wants to judge them. Oh my god, they don't remember her birthday. Look at when the fuck you asked when Summer Moon's birthday was, though. Bad timing. And it was on purpose. Y'all knew that they were going to stumble on that. Thank you, Alex. I appreciate that. And I'm not saying that what they did is okay, or they, and they know that. They, like, yes, they say they're sorry. Do I believe they're sorry? I mean, they did what they did. Do I believe they're sorry now because it's a shit show? Yes, I believe that, right? But it's just, it was a total setup. It was sabotage. They didn't need any more help looking like that. Even like me making certain posts and having certain other creators, Chasing Truth is one who will be like, do you think like this Candace need more hate? No, you're probably right. She doesn't, but it gets on my nerves to constantly hear her being ungrateful. So I thought people should know about that. But still, I have not aired that kind of shit. And I learned something today. I learned I will never do that to any family now after watching today. And even hearing, as much as me and Candace like do not get along, that is what it is. But hearing her today was probably the most realistic crying I've heard to date. I don't know about that, Donita, but thank you so much. Very sweet. People target C for being slow, in my opinion, and why I feel Summer was kidnapped. It could be. Candace said to you this morning. So when I called, Don was like, yeah, we're doing, we're all right. We're okay. He said, honestly, we fucked up. I messed up. We messed up. We got drunk. What everyone was expecting them to say. Here, and I'll pull them up on the text, but the phone call was short and sweet because, Candace was like, I don't need a psychotic bitch checking in on me. And I was like, okay, Candace, it's okay. So I hung up, and then Don tried to call me back a couple more times, but I was, I think I was doing dishes, getting ready for the morning stream we did earlier. But yeah, then texting with him. Yeah, he isn't proud of his actions last night. Of course not. Neither is Candace. Where is that? Okay, so I don't know if you guys can see it. I just had to pause the screen for a minute, but that's just a little bit of him saying that he's sorry, they messed up, whatever. And, he was thanking me for keeping that shit out as much as I could off of my channel. He did thank me and did tell me, like, I messed up. I should have kept my circle small. Like, but yeah, he just kind of thanked me and said, thanks for not, exposing all that stuff and making an even crazy circus. But now it's all over with. I'm like, there's nothing much I can really do from here. But I don't think that was fair of them to take advantage of them like that, because that's exactly what they did. And Doug even read his text messages saying, like, come up here. Like, yeah, that's okay. What Don say, like, I haven't had anything to smoke, but I've had a couple of drinks, and oh yeah, still you can come up here. Like, why? Why are we encouraging them that? Because they wanted him to trip up. They wanted to catch that moment on their channel. And then the comments I'm getting on my channel today is, oh, Cher, you're just mad that didn't happen on your channel. No, that didn't happen on my channel on purpose. We made damn sure that didn't happen as much as we could. A little bit did spill over because it's too hard to keep it all up there, but with as much as we were talking to them. But it's wrong. It's all wrong. Those creators cannot be proud of themselves. You guys can't be proud of that either. Can you? Can you be proud of them for actually encouraging him to come on and drink and do that to try and get some answers? Is that actually helpful? CPS won't pay for mental health help. No, because they aren't considered victims at this point. Cotton candy boobs. So much pain. Terry, I'm going to send you the link. I'm sorry. Terry, there you go. Aw, cotton candy. You're so sweet. Thank you. Terry, there's the link. All right, I know some of y'all hate my voice, so I'm gonna smoke a half of a joint and let Mr. Cher ramble on now.
Ramble on. Ah. So yeah, Cher's all fired up. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, a lot of people are saying, well, they're adults. They chose to go on the lives. And you're right, they did. Like, no one forced them. But to say that they didn't understand that both Don and Candace have an addiction issue, to have them on knowing that they're drunk and whatnot, I mean, personally, I don't agree with that. And I know, like, people love to see the shit show. You know, people enjoyed seeing Don and Candace coming off the rails and all that. I don't, and we have seen it. We didn't post it because we just don't feel that that's right. I mean, other people do. That's their thing. I mean, more power to them. But we were about finding answers for Summer, not making Don and Candace look bad, and that's exactly what those people did. I mean, they knew that they weren't going to come out looking good. There's no way Don and Candace are going to look good when they're wasted. Oh, there's Terry.
Hey,
Hello.
how are you guys?
Oh, we're doing good.
Yeah. Well, just a few hours, short hours ago, right?
Yeah.
We're on live. This
Yeah.
it was a mess. I mean, like,
It was.
it was more of a shock. Um, I mean, first with the Molly Golightly having him on speakerphone and he's going off and he never knew he was on live until the very end. And after that, they invited him on the panel. That I don't know who that Laura is that's on there, but I never saw her before, and I really could care less if I ever see her again. I guess I didn't like her. She was very pushy. Candace, I want to say Candace was in a great deal of pain last night. Apparently the whatever, like the mouth work that she had done, the dental work, she has gum.
Y'all know how I feel about this bitch. I don't like this bitch. I don't like to hear her talk, and I don't give a fuck about Candace's teeth. They need to bleed. So I'm gonna fast forward this because this bitch adds no value to anything we do. Sorry, I can't with this one. I'd rather listen to Jody Sue than this one.
And she's more of the stay-at-home mom, so obviously she doesn't.
Stay at home on my ass. Look at that fucking house. It was a fucking pigsty. Fuck out of here. See if she's still
They're
talking
not going
about
to
it.
leave them on. No, kick them.
And that's right. The thing is, what you don't want is the kids to be stuck in foster homes. You don't want that. Still want the kids home? Absolutely. When Don and Candace can get it together.
No,
When they
I
can get it
disagree.
together.
No,
Huh?
They've got a lot of work to do.
those kids should never be placed back in that home, and I'll tell you why. Don and Candace, the reason why, I don't know what you call it. I do have, is it sympathy for Don, even through bad shit he's done, because he wasn't taught any better. He was born into something that was going on for generations before him. Same with Candace. They need so much help. Like, they need not just a therapist, but they need they need a lot of help.
Right. I mean, it's not, I'm not talking about that this is something that could happen overnight.
Well, Terry, I've been where those boys are, and I'm telling you,
Right.
at this point now, no, I don't believe that the boys would benefit. I do believe the boys benefit because here's where I'm at. I do not have a relationship with my biological mother, and here's why. Because to this day, even though the hell I have been through, she still puts needles in her neck and arm to this day. So I have no relationship with that woman because she has learned nothing, and she didn't even learn by having me taken away her oldest kid. I went through all of what I went through, and she didn't learn with me. She didn't learn with my sister. She didn't learn with my other brother or my other sister. That's just the kids I know about. So 4 of us, she didn't learn. And still to this day, that was the same shit. So the best thing Don and Candace can do for their boys to have a future and not wonder, did all this happen for nothing? The best thing that they can do, and Don, you're listening, I know, you have to get help. And I offered you again today to get you help, and you think you can just quit cold turkey, and you can't. But if you want your kids to be proud of you one day and think, you know what, I went through this hell, but at least my mom and dad learned something. At least they tried to make it better. Because if you don't, they're never going to want to have anything to do with you again. Maybe that's what you want. I don't know. But I know how I feel even as a grown-ass adult today. How I feel about my own mother. I'll never talk to that bitch again. Never. That you guys don't understand at all. I don't even understand the moves that I'm making half the time. But I'm going with how my heart is making me go. And that's what I'm always going to do. But Don and Candace, if you want to, it's not too late for them to fix this. Even if, let's say, they're guilty of, they've done something to Summer. I think they can still do something with their lives where their kids would still want a relationship with them. But if they don't try and change their lives right now, their kids are not going to want to have anything to do with them. And they're ruining their kids. They are putting their kids, all 3 of them boys, I'm going to predict their future right now. They are going to be addicts. They are probably 1 or 2 of them. Like, they are going to have a hell of a life from that day forward, even from who knows what life was like before Summer went missing. But in all honesty, their life has changed forever now. And either they're going to see that their parents learned from that. Okay, I went through this, but what is mom and dad doing now? What has mom and dad changed in their life? Did I go through this hell for nothing? Or did my parents learn something from this? I'm actually getting super emotional because those kids are not okay. They're never going to be okay. Probably the rest of their life because I'm not even okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something that I can't understand because I grew up in a nice household. But yeah, what these kids were growing up in, I mean, what we saw last night wasn't a typical day, but I'm sure it did happen from time to time, and the kids should never be subjected to that. They need to get help.
Yeah.
It's hard. You know, I know I shouldn't even be bothering with the chat, but it's like, you got I'm sorry, but one idiot, you're crazy, Terry. Those kids should never go. I'm not fucking crazy. Okay. What I am, but it really pisses me off, Cher. And, because I care. You know what I'm saying? I want them to be okay enough to have their kids back. If they can't, then they can't. But I'm not fucking crazy. I'm not horrid like somebody else said. I'm
I just
we're
want to
all
say
having
something
a
to
hard
that.
time with this.
Terry, you are a rare gem because not many people watching this right now can say they would rather see Don and Candace pull themselves together and get their kids back. They would rather see what happened last night. They want to see these people suffering.
Yeah.
They enjoy that more than to see them actually pull themselves up and get out of this. And that's just the sad reality. I know a lot of you in the chat are going to say, no, that's not true, but you damn well know it is.
Mm-hmm.
I bet you 90% of you would rather see them fail. So Terry might come across looking crazy, but she's actually right. Okay, my rant's over.
Thank you. I mean, it doesn't,
Terry is
obviously, it
crazy.
doesn't
Mark was,
necessarily mean that that's
yeah,
going to
she is crazy.
ever happen,
Yep.
because these 2, they cannot do this on their own. There's absolutely no way. If they could have, they would have.
Mhm.
You know,
No, they were born into this. They need so much help. They need a
Sunshine, I really don't know about TM. Which TM? Tim Mullins or Tiffany Marie? I really don't give a fuck about either one of them, honestly.
You just want to like have the live go and just silence.
yeah.
Yeah, I can see everyone disagreeing with me. How many of you watched that shit show?
They all did.
Yeah.
Thousands of
So
them.
I'd watch it then.
Mm-hmm.
When you heard it was a shit show, did you watch it?
I mean, he told me today he was going to be done with social media, and I said maybe that's good for a little while, but you know, who knows? He could change his mind tomorrow. I don't know why Dr. Phil didn't. Maybe it was offered and they didn't take him up on it. I have no idea. I have offered it, and I've been told no, thank you, right now.
Really?
Yes,
Oh man.
I agree, Jay. I agree, and that's how I feel, and that's how their kids are going to feel. And like that's why
That's
I
what
continue
addicts are.
doing this.
Addicts are selfish, period.
They are. They are.
Yeah, it's all about
Mhm.
them. And even when they get clean, a lot of times it's still the way they are. So it's a lot of work.
They didn't choose this. They were born into it. They choose to. It's a choice to break the cycle, right? You can do it if you want to, but it's not easy.
Right.
It's easier said than done, honestly.
Yep.
You can always hope for the best, yes. But
Yeah.
being a realist, the only way I can see Candace and Dawn, if you want any relationship with your children, because they're getting older now. And in fact, I was asked at 11 years old, what did I want? Did I want to continue visits with my parents? Did I still want to go through that shit? Because, you know, it's hard on a kid, even just knowing, okay, well, today at 1 o'clock, you have a call with your parents. Well, you know what happens with 99% of kids who are in the system and they know it's time to have a meeting with their parents? They're going to act out. They're going to get told. Some kids don't even get told they're having a meeting with their parents until it's like 5 minutes time to talk to your parents. Because a lot of times in that situation, it triggers us as children and brings us back to the traumatizing time, and it's anxiety. It's wild. Like I used to have to go visit my mom and my baby siblings in what was like a kid prison, not a kid prison for kids, but a safety area place where our parents couldn't just take off or be alone with us. But as a kid, like I was
Yeah.
telling this year, I remember being in like a gymnasium, like it looked like a prison, like where you go meet people for prison, and barbed wire on the fence and alarms on doors and people standing around watching each meeting going on because you cannot even go to the bathroom alone with your parent because they could do something to you in that quick time. They could hurt you. They could try to run with you or any of that. All of this is very scary for these children. We don't need to be putting out more shit to even further rub their damn faces in all of this. But yes, it's basically a prison. It's a visitation center where you go. But even the phone calls, like I remember I would act out. They had to finally tell me, like, stop telling me ahead of time because I didn't even, it's not that I was trying, like, oh, I'm going to talk to my mom on Thursday. I'm going to be a bitch for the next 3 days. Like, it's not even anything that's planned. It's just something that happens because you don't even realize you're acting out. These kids are already in a living hell, you guys. We don't need to be posting shit like that to help it.
You know, when you went through that, were you offered services like counseling and
Yes, like you get
stuff
it
like
as
that?
being, those kids will have it because that's part of being in
Yeah, they'll have
a
it.
situation like that. They will be offered that. Candace and Donna are considered victims, so they're probably not offered that. They would have to get health insurance or whatever. Or they could get off their asses and put the bottle down and go to the courthouse and fight for some rights for themselves. If they are truly victims and all this, go fight for your victim rights and put the goddamn bottle down and get some fucking help. Don't do it for you guys, do it for your children. That's the only way that anything good can come of this. No matter what happened this summer, what they have done or haven't done this summer, for the boys' sake, they still need to get help. No matter what. For the boys to have a chance at a healthy future and not think that what they have gone through has been for nothing at all.
And that
And
is
feel
what
like they
is
want to
most
kill
important.
themselves. Because I promise you right now, them boys are going to get to an age thinking, my mom and dad didn't want me. What the fuck am I doing in this life? And they will try to commit suicide. Mark my words. And will everybody be proud of them? Because that's going to happen. That's going to happen.
I hate Cher said that. I don't like that. I don't like she said that. I don't like that. Sorry, sis, but that that's I don't know. I love you, sis, but you know, no, I don't agree with that. What I feel like with the boys, I bet the boys miss Don and Candace. I bet they miss Ben Hill. I bet they miss their family they had before all this shit happened. I guarantee you those boys were probably fucking happy as fuck. Probably summer too. Grow up in the country like that, it's a different lifestyle. People say, "Oh, the boys are better." Yeah, they are in a better place, but they would probably rather be with their mom and dad on the hill with nothing. Keeping it real. I've seen it a lot. I grew up in hollers and stuff, and it happens. You're happier like that. You know, that was their whole life. They didn't know nothing else. And not saying I think they should go back. No, not at all. But I'm just saying, I guarantee you, people say, "Oh, they don't miss." I guarantee you, they miss that hill and their mom and daddy. Guarantee it. I'd bet the farm on that. All right, let's go.
happened. Statistically, 2 of those 3 boys will try at least one time to kill themselves before born the big
Like-
girl has let
Yeah.
adopt 7 years old. Nobody wanted me, but you know what they did want? They wanted my 2-year-old sister. So I went.
Sorry, I'm fast forward through this because I don't agree at all with Cher with this. That was kind of fucked up to say, but love you, sister. That's not cool.
I'm angry too. I don't think people are actually understanding the whole picture. Because yeah, you're hurting Don and Candace, okay? But you're hurting the boys too.
You know, I mean, like, this is going to sound weird, I guess, to everybody else, but I know I
Oh,
feel
Bobby.
a lot more comfortable knowing where the boys are. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
You know, just being like the guardian ad litem. Both of the cases that I have right now, the kids aren't going to go back to the parents. You know, and that will be a recommendation. So if I was on the case, you know, I don't know.
Mm.
And I only say I don't know is because I don't know all the details. Have they been given a case plan? Do they have one and they're not using it? You know, I mean, I'd be concerned because Summer was gone. You know, and I'm talking strictly as a guardian ad litem, what I'd be thinking. So that would worry me. You know, that alone would worry me.
Mhm.
Okay, well, maybe, you know,
Deleted.
because
Oh, what family case?
oh,
Women iced tea tweet
yeah,
and
All right, this one's not got much longer, and I really don't want to go through it because I'm a little aggravated and fucking don't like Terry. So we're gonna go to the next one. Terry, fuck you and your couch. Oh, I got told yesterday, someone said, did you all know that Cotton had such a horrible mouth? Yes, where have you been? I cuss. If I'm cussing you out or being mean to you, you fucking deserve it because I just don't do that out of the blue to people. Anybody that knows me knows that. But yeah, I got a dirty mouth. Look at my titles or my one of my channels. Might be this one. The banner, cursey words. I say cursey words. Oh fucking well. Fuck you and your couch. I shouldn't with Summer, but I'm just aggravated with these people, not her. Just John and Candace know where that fucking baby is, and I don't mean to say fucking baby like that. I'm just cussing them. So please don't take that wrong because trust me, I'm trying to do my best to help fight for Summer and find her, which I can't do much to find her, but I want that baby found just like anybody else. And they don't give a fuck and they know something. But they know if they tell, then their asses is going to prison for the rest of their fucking life. If it was an accident, they should have called 911. If it was something else, they need to fucking speak up. Babies don't just fucking vanish into thin air. It don't just happen. Layla Santello, I'm probably saying her name wrong. I've kind of been following that and I follow her mom on TikTok. Vanished. Same area. Young girl. 3 of them. Actually, her and 2 others, but one was found. I don't know about the second one. Same area. What the fuck's going on? You know? Candace and Dawn know more. And it's time to fucking speak up. And that's why Cher's, she's done with them. Everybody's like, oh, this fight. No, this ain't no damn Wells fight. This is Cher. She's done with the bullshit too. She done it for 2 years. She got more information out of them than anybody on here has because she kept them talking. She didn't talk shit about them, put them down. She played heroic. She kept on talking. You get more bees with honey than you do vinegar. And we're done with it. It's time. I pray that baby's alive. If they know where she is, tell us where she is. If they know something horrible happened and she's no longer with us, tell us where she is so we can lay her to rest. Justice for Summer. Fuck these parents. We've had enough. It's a fucking enough. Don might not be guilty in Summer's disappearance, but he knows something. And he still is a piece of shit for the stuff he's done in the past to people. God don't fucking keep hiding behind God. No, fuck that. Okay, I gotta play this or I'm gonna get heated. But yeah, there. Welcome to my TED Talk. Oh, hey, Wondering Hearts, baby. I'm not letting them bother me. I'm just like, I'm over it, you know? I cuss. Anybody knows me that I cuss. It's who I am. It's how I was raised. Kind of grew up redneck as fuck in the backwoods of Kentucky, and I'm gonna be who I am. If you don't like it, don't fucking watch me. I really no. Fuck you.
I hear the voices inside my head, the voices behind the wall, uplifting the underdog, be fighting above the law. You ain't saying nothing yet.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. Oh, let me get to chat here. Good morning, Crypt Keepers, Laurie, Deborah, Joe. Today, story 15. So, no. Nellybug, Funksy. Hey, California. Hey, Jazzy. Hey, Nana. Does that say? Okay, hold on. I gotta make this bigger. Does that say Maud or Mad? Mad Turner, Leslie, Steph, Mary T. Good to see you. Hey, Summer Rain. Hey, Dana. Good morning. Road less traveled, like that. Changing lives. Angelique. Good morning. Sister Knives, Cheryl, Leah, Rita. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Oh boy. I love you guys too. So, that shit show. Wells, episode part 1. I want to show you guys something first. I think this is what I'm going to do first. So yesterday I was browsing around and everyone was so hooked on this Dr. Phil thing. I wasn't going to watch it, but hubby and I, we watched it, but we watched it later in the afternoon. After it was already out, people were already talking, and I was like, well, I better watch it just so I know what people are talking about. Dagler, good to see you. Hey, Wanda. So yeah, I thought, do I even want to watch this? So we did so that we can cover it properly. Oh boy. And then you know what we did? I took a 3-hour nap. I was just like, I am not doing this today, and watched scary movies, and I was like, I do not want to do this today. A bunch of people were like, can you go live, please? And I'm like, everybody and their moms are live today, and it's going to happen again today. But I was like, fuck it, I'll do it. It snowed outside. It's disgusting. We have a dental journey. So you guys are awesome here. Like, it's on Chasing Justice's channel. Chasing Truth's channel. Sorry. And I was like, okay, yeah, that is weird. Robin is the one who crossed the Tacoma out of the flyers and sent them out, right? And then here she's showing screenshots between, I don't know who it is, and Robin. And she's like, well, I don't think it'd be a red truck anymore, right? I mean, certainly someone probably painted it by now, right? So that's weird too. And then somebody had asked Candace, and Candace, all she could really say was, oh, she's a really nice lady. She really is. She's nice. All that, right? So I'm like, okay, this is a simple enough question that you think could be answered. So that's what I did. I went and I asked Robin, because I have conversations with Robin. And I'm going to tell you guys something today that may blow some of your guys' minds. I'm not 100% sure. I did tell a few other creators this yesterday, and they're like, yeah, that is kind of sketchy. Benny, you know what I'm about to say. I think I have let this slip before, but nobody really said anything about it, which I was shocked about. So now I'm going to bring up me just straight out asking Robin, do you have a red Tacoma truck? This is the news going around. Be prepared. You're probably going to get a lot of hate today or something. I was like, this is the news today. So this is what I said to Robin. I don't know if you guys can see it very well. I'm trying to. Okay, I said, whoa, you have a red Tacoma, Robin? This is going around today. Be prepared. She said, hey, Cher, the glory of God is being revealed, and I am not in the least concerned. I believe summer will be found soon. Too many good God moments are happening every day. And then, so I asked Dawn, and I said, so it's been confirmed that Robin from your church has a red Tacoma truck to her and her husband, registered in her and her husband's name. Is that true? And Dawn says, so does half the country. I said, I guess so. Then later, Robin texted me back again and said, because we were talking back and forth, that's so sweet. I'm glad you told him that. and she's talking to me about when Donald's birthday is coming up, because we were talking about November birthdays, and that Don needs some encouragement. As for the newest hot topic, thanks for the heads up. I'm not going to deny we own a red Toyota truck, maroon or whatever. You're absolutely right in that we are all sinners and need a savior. So, oh shoot. Okay, here we go. No denying it, actually admitting it. So I'm like, well, what the fuck? What the fuck is up with that? Okay, so now, since we're on the Robin topic, something had come up a while ago. This is back when that whole 17-year-old mistress thing came out about Dawn, whatever. I had a conversation on the phone with Robin, and she was like, Cher, like, do we, like, 17, come on, like, do we even really care? Like, that's not that bad, you know, whatever. And I'm thinking, dang, lady, that is bad. And for someone to be so, like, in a church member or whatnot, how are you even saying it's okay for adultery, period? So that was weird to me, that she could just write it off so easily and it didn't phase her. And every time I've had a phone conversation with Robin, like, I've had her on speaker and Mr. Cher is here, and every time when I hang up the call, he says, that girl is creepy. Like, it's just weird to him the way she talks. And what's okay for someone who's a member of this church, right? This huge religion, all of that, but she's quite fine with mistresses, 17-year-old mistresses. But I also heard a rumor months ago that Dawn B knew Robin Lane and her husband. And I asked Dawn B one day, you know Robin Lane, her husband, are you acquaintances with them? He's, no, laughing it off, right? And I just didn't think nothing. I was like, whatever, fuck it, just another rumor. But then I asked Robin Lane, because she had actually made a comment that made me question, well, how do you even have his phone number? But he was doing videos. I'm going to actually do a live stream tomorrow on my channel that's dedicated to the church and Robin Lane, some weirdness going on in the church and that. Not today. But anyways, I was like, so how do you know, like, him then? Like, how you know Don Bushman? Like, I don't understand. How did you even have his phone number? Maybe he had reached out and emailed her or something. I don't know, and left his phone number. I don't know. Very possible, right? So anyways, I was like, well, Don Bushman.
Hey, Brooke, Richmond. I was going to say welcome over here from Britt's. Yeah, I love Britt. I do. We've been through a lot, me and her. Yeah, where's this little girl? You know, we want to know. And see, all this stuff we're watching right here is from the first year she was missing. Like, yeah, we went through every one of Cher's very first videos and interviews and everything. And it's wild how much we've learned, you know, that from 2 years ago that we hadn't heard before, or we forgot about, or, you know, because it's always interesting to start at the beginning again after so long, because people have talked so much in between those 2 years, 2.5 years. Summer's been gone, you know, and the stories has changed and this and that. Like Jody Sue Brown and the scream. I believe she heard the scream. I'll stand by that. I don't like the woman, but I believe she heard that. In the very beginning, a couple weeks ago, we was watching one, and it said that, and Don was on there talking about how he believed the scream. The lady, his neighbor, you know, scream. Yes, he was all about it. Now it's like, and then they said it was unfounded or whatever. Ronnie did, and how's it unfounded if you wasn't there? How do you know it didn't happen? You weren't there, were you, or were you? You know what I mean? It's like you cannot prove that scream didn't happen unless you were there at that exact time. I believe Jody Sue on that scream. And I believe it was Summer at the end of the driveway where her scent ended. Somebody might have grabbed her and she screamed, and I don't know. I believe the scream. That's about the only thing I believe about Jody Sue, but I believe she heard that.
Bushman, you know, I was like, there's rumors going around that you guys are friends or that he used to go to the church or something. Can you confirm or deny that for me? And she said, I'm not friends with Don B, but my husband's acquaintances with him. So I'm like, whoa, wait, what the actual heck is happening here? So I don't know what to think of that. But that came out of her mouth. Don B, the creator, is acquaintances with Robin's husband before Summer even went missing. Talks ill about Robin. I don't know. Is it a guy? Is like, I don't really know anymore, but it's weird. Very odd comments.
But, you know, I don't think it's weird Don B being friends or knows Robin's husband or whatever, because when you grow up in small towns and stuff like this, you know, hollers and shit, you know people like that. You know what I mean? It's very common, actually. I don't think that's weird. Now, if they were like across state and knew each other and stuff, maybe yeah, but
She told me it was okay. Come on, Cher, 17, like really? I mean, come on, is that bad? I'm like, no, I mean, I suppose it could be worse. But I was actually in shock that she didn't seem fazed by it. It seemed completely normal, and that 17 was totally fine for a 54 or 55, 56-year-old man. And all I can keep thinking was like, is this like what, like, how is this okay? How is this just being fazed by, like, it's nothing to this woman? I don't even know what to think either. But I am going to do my live tomorrow. I'm going to show you some conversation with me and Robin, and the one time where Robin completely freaked out over a certain YouTube video. And I'm telling you, I never seen her so worried or so upset. She sent me the video and everything, was very upset. It was like the one thing that I know was a hot button for Robin anyway. So tomorrow I'll do that. I'm going to have to turn some of it into like a video or something. But yeah, it's just very, very odd. And the video that she was very upset about is about the church and trafficking children. Yeah, that she was fine. Like when they used to say rumors that he had a 17-year-old mistress way back when, like July maybe it was. I don't remember at this point. It's been so long. But yeah, it was completely okay. She was like, is that really, like, let's be honest, and laughing about it. And, oh, these people, like, let's be honest, Cher. A 17-year-old, let's say he did have a 17-year-old mistress. Is that really horrible? And I'm thinking, like, I don't know. Would you want your husband having a 17-year-old mistress? Because I sure as shit wouldn't want my husband having a 17-year-old mistress. And he's over 10 years younger than, he's like 15 years younger than Don Wells. And I sure as shit wouldn't want him. And be like, oh, it's okay. 17, that bad? No, you are a church leader. That's not supposed to be okay. I thought adultery was not supposed to be okay at all. But I guess I'm wrong. I don't know, because it was completely normal for this woman and she thought it was okay and laughed about it, giggling. I'm telling you, it was one of the weirdest fucking conversations.
is Cher talking about the like Mormon church or Latter-day Saints or whatever? Is that what she's talking about here? Like the 17-year-old stuff? I'm gonna show you all something. If I can find it, I got it somewhere, but I got so much shit saved. We're gonna be doing some Matthew Perry stuff too. I got some stuff I'm gonna do on that. Just a second. I want to play you something about a Mormon church. I've played this before, but it's very eye-opening. And then we'll go back to watching this. Hold on just a second. I'm going to take this back a few. Listen to what I'll share
The
said.
church and trafficking about just a 6-year-old man. And all I can keep thinking was like, is this like what, like, how is this okay? How is this just being fazed by, like, it's nothing to this woman? I don't even know what to think either. But I am going to do my live tomorrow. I'm going to show you some conversation with me and Robin, and the one time where Robin completely freaked out over a certain YouTube video. And I'm telling you, I never seen her so worried or so upset. She sent me the video and everything, was very upset. It was like the one thing that I know was a hot button for Robin anyway. So tomorrow I'll do that. I'm going to have to turn some of it into like a video or something. But yeah, it's just very, very odd. And the video that she was very upset about is about the church and trafficking children. Yeah, that she was fine. Like when they used to say rumors that he had a 17-year-old mistress way back when, like July maybe it was. I don't remember at this point. It's been so long. But yeah, it was completely okay. She was.
Well, shit. But isn't like the LDS church and Mormon church, aren't they like out in Utah a lot? They're very similar, or there's some kind of connection there. Isn't it like a lot of Mormons in LDS churches? See, I don't like to get into religion because honestly, I don't know jack shit about it. I just know I love the Pentecostal religion because that's what I grew up with, and a little bit of Southern Baptist here. But I like Pentecostal. I know a little bit about that because I love to feel the spirit of people talking in tongues just out of nowhere. It's wild, but I don't know religion. But I'm pretty sure because I've been trying to get into this. I've been digging a little bit into the Mormons and all this and churches and I don't know. I'm not saying Robin's. I'm gonna say 98%, maybe 95. Robin has nothing to do with Summer's disappearance. I think the girl loved her and vice versa. But Robin is just a weird one to me that sticks out in my mind and I can't shake it. She's like, when trafficking, they pick this sweet woman to go out and lure these kids and girls and stuff in, pretty ones and this and that. And I don't know, Robin's just a freaking weird one. I can't shake it with her. And her obsession with the whales, like, I don't know, it's weird. I know the South, grew up like those people, and that's fucking weird, I'm sorry. Tater, they're the same? Thank you. I figured pretty much the same, yes. Alright, so listen to this here. I'm gonna finish listening a little bit to Cher, and then I'm gonna play another video of a girl from a Mormon church.
It's like, is that really, like, let's be honest, and laughing about it, and oh, these people, like, let's be honest, Cher. A 17-year-old, let's say he did have a 17-year-old mistress. Is that really horrible? And I'm thinking, like, I don't know. Would you want your husband having a 17-year-old mistress? Because I sure as shit wouldn't want my husband having a 17-year-old mistress. And he's over 10 years younger he's like 15 years younger than Don Wells. And I sure as shit wouldn't want him and be like, oh, it's okay. 17, that bad? No, you are a church leader. That's not supposed to be okay. I thought adultery was not supposed to be okay at all. But I guess I'm wrong. I don't know, because it was completely normal for this woman and she thought it was okay and laughed about it, giggling. I'm telling you, it was one of the weirdest fucking conversations I ever had with anybody. And I've been to all types of religions and churches and studied it for years. It was the weirdest shit I've ever spoke about with a church member or a Sabbath day teacher at that. I'm sorry. I don't even give a shit what's said on Dr. Phil. I still feel the way I feel. Do we believe Dr. Phil as a TV doc? I don't think so. I don't know. Like, I heard what he said today, but he doesn't think that neither one of them hurt the daughter. Doesn't mean that they didn't help get rid of their daughter and someone else hurt their daughter. Like, I don't know anymore.
Okay, now I'm gonna switch over here and play this real quick. It's just a 5-minute clip. And then we will go back to Cher.
Okay, so if you want to take something on and if you want to take on power, it's going to take time and it's not going to be easy. So here we are. We did a story about accusations of widespread sexual abuse and cover-ups within the Mormon church, all right? More people are coming out. That's not unusual in a situation like this. The trick in this situation is abuse, okay. But if the people who do it aren't in the supervision, the direct employ, or direct responsibility, what they call in the law respondeat superior, that the higher power has to respond for the actions of the subordinate, like with the Catholic Church or other organizations, then how do you make it about the church? I want you to meet Chelsea Goodrich, all right? Now 38 years young, says when she was a baby, 2, her own father abused her, and it continued for years. Okay, what does this have to do with the church? Well, they're Mormons, all right? Well, he's a practicing dentist, okay, and was a bishop in the Mormon church. Now, when Chelsea spoke to a lawyer for the church, she was silenced and paid off, and it was all caught on tape. Chelsea joins us now. Thank you very much for taking this opportunity. I appreciate you doing it. Now, first, the way I set it up, did I get it right so far?
Yes, you did, Chris, and thank you so much for having me on.
And one of the aspects of your story that will be somewhat unfamiliar for people, but I'm very aware of this dynamic. You had blocked out a lot of this, what had happened earlier in your life, until your teens and you started to have recalled trauma, correct?
Yeah, that's partly true. I really didn't put the pieces together until 2015 when I was 29, going on 30 years old. I started to put the pieces together and realized that my father had sexually abused me. I confronted him about this. My mother confronted him about it. And initially, he was caught off guard. He confessed to a lot. And we actually started audio recording what he was saying because we realized that he was seeking legal counsel and he was starting to kind of backtrack on what he was saying. And so, yeah, then he went to a Mormon bishop, made a confession, and that bishop, Bishop Mike Miller, he was more than willing to testify. He actually directly said to me, I hope that I'm subpoenaed in a criminal trial, because he said, boy, will I talk. He said, the truth needs to get out for the protection of other children. But then Bishop Miller spoke to attorneys from the church. And from that point, he wasn't willing to speak anymore, to testify. He became scared and kind of changed his tune. And so after that, I eventually reached out to Paul Ridding, who was the director of risk management at the Mormon Church, and had a number
Chelsea,
of
let me bring
meetings
people
with
up.
him.
Sorry to interrupt. I just want to bring people up to speed with the story, with the proof that you have. Okay, so I want to play the sound, and then I want you to explain to us why you went to the church in the first place, because this is an unfamiliar dynamic for most people. Okay, even if they're in a church, unless somebody is like a priest or something, you don't usually involve the priest in what's happening in your life. But the Mormon Church is different. So I want to play a piece of sound for the audience about what you were just saying was said to you and that you recorded.
So I have authorization up to $300,000. We both agree that we will not disclose that we've settled with you, and you will not disclose that you've settled with the church, other than your attorney or financial advisors, and they must maintain confidentiality as well.
Okay.
You acknowledge that there's been some recordings made of all of our communications, and that you agree to destroy those recordings within 10 days of signing this.
Now, what was being communicated to you in your understanding? Was this the church saying, we know what you're saying, we believe there's a chance that it happened, so we want to make this go away?
Yeah, essentially. And I think that I had the understanding at that time that the church would continue to do more to try to get the truth out about John themselves, to at least protect children within the church from John. But as time went on and I reached back out to Paul and expressed concern to him about my own, uh, family members, children that are in danger of John, the church did nothing.
Hey, thank you for watching. Please go to newsnationnow.com.
That's wild, ain't it?
I have no idea anymore. Like I said to people before, I have so much shit that I've just been sitting on because I didn't even know, to be honest. It's like a clusterfuck. No, I've seen the closest I've seen to that. You guys will find out tomorrow, like sometime afternoon or something. Maybe tomorrow morning I'll do it, but today I've got other plans. I don't really want to go there. A lot of you know I dug into the church, but I put those all on private. I deleted them, not deleted them, but they're on private because I did start talking to Robin, and so I privated them. I wanted to give it a fair shot and talk to her. She seemed nice, but it's like every conversation left me saying, what the hell is happening here? Good morning, Coffee McQueen. Good morning, Leslie, Lynn, Changing Lives, Dana. Sorry, I wasn't looking at the chat. I was walking around trying to get coffee. Definitely, Melissa. It's definitely a cult. Always creepy. And then you think about it, and it's like the Amber Alert pictures are all pictures that were taken within the church. And I know most people would be like, well, so they're good pictures. They're the best pictures. Those are the pictures the parents handed over. I don't give a shit. The freaking Amber Alert has Robin cut out of the picture with Summer. It's wild. And do I think this is a conspiracy? Yes, because the only question Don Wells has never answered for me, the only thing he has never responded in the 10 times that I have asked him is your daughter being held for political and monetary gain? He will not answer that. And when he texts me, he'll pretend like that question was never even asked and just jump onto the next. Like that keeps getting unanswered for me. It should be just like, no, Cher, that's crazy. You're crazy. Shut up. Shut up, Cher.
Little Deb, you don't care what the beliefs are as long as you don't break the law. I get that. But it goes on a lot with a certain religion, and it's I don't know. They're known for it, and it's fucked up, in my opinion, because they break the law more than you know.
Storming like, where's Summer? Where's Summer? Do all of these creators have Summer hiding somewhere now? Like, what happened to all of those comments now that everyone else is doing exactly what I done? Yes, I did. Yes, it's, yeah. Hey, Tony. Reverend Donna has really been wrong. It's, yes. Linda, that's something we're discussing tomorrow. I do have the correspondence of Robin when she told me they were leaving for vacation when she was home. I was even speaking to her, but yes, she did within 3 weeks, I believe, a Summer Gone Missing took off to Hawaii. 1 second here. Well, one thing I reread.
It's a cult, in my opinion. It is.
To the behavioral panel there about the blue minivan or whatever. And there's a moment where I see Dawn look shocked and has that look like my wife been lying to me again. Yeah. And she was like, no, it's a blue minivan. He's like, a Ford Explorer or Escape or something. No, what? It was a minivan. I got a weird vibe from that little clip there. I rewound it 10 times looking at Candace's face, what she's saying, and then Dawn's reaction. In my opinion, he looks like, wait, what? Like, so you lied to me or something. Like, I don't know, but that part stands out to me. I'll clip it out for later exactly what part I mean. Some of you must know what I mean, but I rewound that a good 10 times. Mr. Cher was like, can you please now, like, just let it play through? I want to hear the rest of it. But I couldn't help it because his face went red, his eyes got big, like he was shocked. And either he's upset because she just said something that was not supposed to be said and she screwed up the script, if you will. Or what I get from it is he's been lied to now and he is just hearing something different right then and there. And he's like, wait, what? A little bit shocked. So that's my take from it anyway. That's great. We don't mention that channel in here though. Now remember, Don did tell me when I had asked him to, the whole cartel thing came up, and Don did say, I said, Don, like, do we just have to come up with $20,000 and your daughter's back? Like, tell me, like, what do we do? Like, if it's just $20,000, like, the world's gonna get that for you. Like, we can get your daughter back. Tell me, is that, tell me, what do we do? And he was like, no, I wish it was that easy, but it goes much deeper than that. And I can never get that out of my head, you guys. What goes much deeper than the cartel taking your daughter over thousands of dollars? What does that mean? No, I wish that was the case, but it goes much deeper than that. I will forever wonder what the hell he means by that. Hey, Sydney. Hi, everyone coming in. Hey, Rambling. That butt dial tells all. We're on voices here. Let's stay on. Thanks, folks. Yeah. She absolutely did react to that. I mean, there's no faking that or denying that at all. So unless like Jody Sue, that Baltimore, her kid's father, maybe is in the Cornbread Mafia, I don't know. Terrified of them, yeah. Terrified of them or part of them, I have no idea. Um, yes, yeah. Not in that term, cornbread mafia, but definitely more like he would just say like gang kind of. I think the gang or mafia or whatever, but not the term cornbread mafia. Yep. And when that happened, she's on miking and crying and getting off. So right after that, he Don was texting me like, she left me all alone, Cher. She got up, she took her stuff out, and she walked off. She left me alone up there. She left me by myself. Like he was not happy that happened. And I'm like, where did, on Dr. Phil or on the behavioral panel? And he told me the behavioral panel. But I'm like, well, wait a minute, she didn't do the behavioral panel. Maybe it means Dr. Phil. So I'm not sure, does she get up and walk off on Dr. Phil too? But he did tell me, and I said it before, she walked off the behavioral panel, and everyone told me she's not on the behavioral panel. She walks off of Dr. Phil. So he was telling me the truth because she walked off the behavioral panel. It was just confusing at the time to what he was telling me because it wasn't out yet. I'm kidding. Hello, broken dishes. He's clueless. I kind of get that vibe too, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know, you guys. It's just also weird. I don't understand. Again, Robin crossing out the truck and saying that, no, it's not a clue anymore. Then finding out, well, she's got that truck. And I even asked her, I'm like, is it the year? Like, is it the same year they're looking for? Your truck must be a different year. And she didn't have a response really to that. She just said, I don't have any problem. She wouldn't confirm or deny if even the year was the same year we were looking for or what. But she did say, it doesn't matter. Don't worry about the year of it. I only have to report to TBI and law enforcement. So, they know what's up and I'm good enough with that. But, at this point, I am questioning everybody. Is the church, like I think Ronnie Lawson is, and SDA. I've shown things about that. Like, at this point, is this some huge cover up? I have conspiracy theories on this case, you guys. I just haven't talked about them. But Don has even talked to me about conspiracy theories on this case that he hasn't said, but it's like, I don't really want to get anyone in trouble. It's like, well, what's that? I think we may have to do conspiracy theory on Sunday on the other channel where we can just talk more freely, and it's not a monetized channel, so people can't really give me shit over there. Don was in our lives posting they are innocent. Yeah, I mean, okay, with just that first episode out and everything from June 15th to currently today, can I get a thumbs up? Let's do a thumbs up. You think that they are completely innocent. Thumbs down, you still think they're guilty. Or do a thumbs up, thumbs down, or whatever. Or that maybe that, that I don't know emoji. If you're still on the fence and don't know. Because I'm just curious, and I'm going to do a poll after this. I'm curious, where does everybody stand today, right now, after now this has gone to, mainstream media? What's everyone's thoughts? Okay, still guilty. Okay, guilty. Guilty. I don't know. Okay. I don't know. Okay. Okay. I see you, Susan. You're like, I don't know. Tell me when it's over. I confused. Yeah. Okay. I stand confused. Yeah. I was still. I don't know. I lean toward innocent. Okay. Okay. It's amazing what a TV show from Dr. Phil can do for people's judgments. And that's what I want to remind people. Like, people will now be like, oh my God, they're innocent. Dr. Phil saying they're innocent because like we're gonna believe Dr. Phil. Dr. Phil is not Bible. Dr. Phil has put some children in some pretty horrific situations through his program that allow teen girls to be hurt. Dr. Phil should be smart and knows what happens in these situations. I am not a Dr. Phil fan. So just because I could hear Dr. Phil up there say they're innocent, that's not changing.
I'm gonna stop it there. I do like Dr. Phil. Like, I don't know. I'm real big into narcissistic personality disorder and all that. And people that know me know I've been into it for years. I've researched, and Dr. Phil admits he's a narcissist. He does. And he does a really good series on narcissism, like everything about it, and a lot of other series on other stuff, mental health. And I like that part of Dr. Phil. I like his show sometimes, but I think he's right about people, though. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't agree with everything, but we're not supposed to agree with everything everybody does, But he is very smart, and I love he'll call it out. I think he's all right.
Changing my mind. Okay. I don't give a shit what a TV Dr. Phil says. I think he's funny, but again, he is for entertainment. It's entertainment. I don't care what Dr. Oz would say. I don't care what, like, and I don't even know who I would have to hear to believe, to be honest, because I'm not even sure I believe the Pope today. So I believe in the establishment. That's what I believe in. And I believe in the establishment and their code of silence and money around everywhere in, true crime, billion-dollar industry every damn year. Why? Who's getting that billions of dollars? It's the people that we're all trusting and believing that are giving us facts and truths. A lot of you guys still on the fence. Hey, Jazz. Part 2 is I will be live tonight. Today I just wanted to get on here before the second one aired because the conversations I had yesterday and that whole Red Tacoma thing, and I was just like, oh, let me do something. And it's snowy and gross and cold, you guys. I think Candace knows where Summer is. Yeah, her reactions were very weird. And even if you listen to Dr. Phil, look what he done. Okay, so he had us on the edge of our seats, and he this and this and this is a flag, this and this and this and this is a flag, right? So we're all like, oh my God, Dr. Phil doesn't believe in them. And then today we see that they're like, no, you didn't hurt your kids. I don't believe that or whatever. So it's going to be interesting, but you see what they're doing, right? And they made a 2-day production of this. But you can see what they're doing and how it's for TV. It's not for anything other than him, his shows, his ratings, his paycheck. That's what it is. You can't take it for Bible. I hope no one really actually takes it for Bible. It's no more Bible than what Chris McDonough's opinion is. Facing back. Okay. Can you see this? It's gross. No, you don't want to go there. He saved you from that. You don't want to do that. It's definitely not a dumb man. All about the ratings, yeah. Candace cares about Candace. I've told everybody, and if you couldn't tell it just from the behavioral panel interview, Dawn's talking, but then all she worries about is me. This isn't good for me. I don't want to do this. Me. Okay, isn't it good for your daughter? Don't you want to talk about your daughter? Your daughter. Summer. Not Candace. It's a problem. Huge problem. You back up. You don't want to go out there. Disgusting. Let me go out there. I want to go back outside. I want to be stray. Give me the castle. Crime Web. Yeah, you guys, it is disgustingly cold out there. I'm gonna put the link in chat if people want to come up here because I am interested what you all thought so far. All right, there's a link in chat there. Alex. I'm just a mess. Where's the coffee? Said the complete opposite on Dr. Phil. Yeah, Lynn, I noticed that too. It's just very odd watching it. Dr. Phil, there you are. How could you? Yeah. It's possible. I've thought that for sure. Oh, thank you, Miss Wednesday. Candace should not care about what others think of her. Yeah, I agree with that. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Good.
What do you think?
Well, yesterday, right before Candace broke down, when he said the cornbread mafia, okay, if you look at her face, her mouth dropped like, oh shit, they're going to catch on, right? I don't think it was cornbread mafia. I think it was that church. And that's why she ran before he could catch that.
I was wondering that. Mr. Positive, your camera is not, it says it's not connected. And yeah, also, I thought that too. And maybe, yeah.
And also, they said that somewhere it was said that she got in, that Summer went willingly with a female she knew. Well, everyone said how much she loved Robin.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the haircuts could have been something in that cult. And I have been researching the Seventh-day Adventist church.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not a good church. Yeah, I mean, there's good and there's bad, when you research it, but you find a lot of it's cult-like.
Yeah, and I've covered it. Like I said, I made everything private, but I think I am going to dig back into that again because I too researched into it and found a lot of problems, including the SVA church being involved in, I'm talking numerous, and all around the world, numerous women and children missing.
Yeah, and if I can send you anything or something, I will,
Right.
that I find. Because you know me,
Mr. Positive.
I go into places that
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep, now we can hear you.
right?
I have to fight people and say, it really is me. My camera just doesn't work on my laptop, which I'm used when I'm in bed.
I
Sorry,
just want to make sure.
I understand. So you said you wanted 2 cents, right? And I'm gonna be
Yes.
I'm gonna be against some of you. Maybe, I don't know. Here's my thought that I want someone to articulate and share. I know you will. In my opinion, the millisecond, and I know the controversy is different already from the chat,
Mhm.
but from my perspective, the millisecond that they said cornbread mafia, she got terrified.
Yeah, absolutely.
Why is that? Everybody else is saying it must be something else. It must be the church. But I want you guys to. I rewatched this 4 or 5 times when I saw it yesterday. The millisecond they said cornbread mafia, she flipped the f out.
Yeah, but there's more of a vice something mafia up in Rogersville.
Well, the corn.
Why
I think
freak out from those specific words?
because I think she knows who's involved, and I think that as soon as that come up, and to even hear that people know that term, probably scared her, and then that's why she's like, "No, I'm being interrogated again. I'm being interrogated again." Well,
But you don't think that the cornbread mafia is involved in the?
I think that is possible, but who is in the cornbread mafia, right? So that makes me also question the church. Does the church back these people? There's a huge, it's a huge. Because here's the thing: these churches, and I'm already telling you, like Robin, anyway, she was like, when I interview with you, I would like my pastor there because she one thing she told me, and I can even show this in the text messages. She was like, to be honest, I don't even know like why we believe this or that. So if I could have my pastor with when we interview, that would be really helpful. Right. She was straight up. She was like, because I don't want to say something wrong, because she was like, I don't know, she didn't want to mess up what was being said, and it was weird. I got a weird vibe from it. And anyway, just knowing what she's okay with, it's like, well, clearly they're all doing drugs and drinking, right? And they know this all the time, but the church is still backing them and supporting them. And that's who their manager is one of the people it's the church. Okay. Very close.
I'm sorry.
I just wanted to give my view on what I thought, and it's different than yours, and that's perfectly fine. I just wanted to make sure that people knew that she went ballistically scared from that second.
And I think it's right. I think that's right, Mr. Positive. So I just think some people from the church are probably in it.
Sure, but I think from that moment, whether she handed the kid off, yes, maybe that's true. But the very second that cornbread mafia was said, she flipped the fuck out. So I think she is involved. I think maybe he had to hand off the kid, and I think Dawn knows it too. So I just wanted to give my 2 points.
Yeah.
And let anyone else come up and discuss why they think differently. I would love that.
I think she freaked out because she was deflecting before they caught onto that.
See, I disagree, but that's okay.
Yeah, I disagree too. I think no, she freaked out because she was like, shit, they know what that is. Yeah. Yes, Sheriff Lawson is SDA. Yes. Lawson family in the SDA is Robin helping with the teeth. Yes. That's all great questions. Dr. Phil doesn't pay unless he did end up paying for this interview for whatever reason, but not. And she only got a couple teeth fixed, but still, that would have been, some dollars. Unless maybe that was what Robin said. Like, I can wheel and deal with Joe's. They're not going to pay out like a paycheck, but they will.
Okay, I'm going to pause it right here. Sorry, I caught me off just a second. Sorry, I was changing the clothes out of my washer while I was listening, and I couldn't get to type or stop it. A lot of people know how I feel about the cornbread mafia. I actually personally know children of some of the people in the mafia. Them saying, no, I don't believe that. No. With Candace and them, no. And I'm very confident in saying that. I don't even know where that came about, why somebody would say that. To get that started. Red herring, Cornbread Mafia is good people. They would never harm a child, and I know that for a fact. they would harm someone that harmed a child. Chicken lady, facts. Facts. Honestly, it might backfire and they would have been on their ass because they're totally not for hurting children. Hurting people, really, you know? But if you hurt a child and they knew about it, I think they might whoop your ass or something. I mean, you know, I don't know, but I do know they would never ever harm a child. They are a marijuana industry. You can look it up. It's on Google. Look it up, the history of it. I knew a brother and sister. Their father was a member of it, and because it's from where I'm from, I've known about them my entire life. Everybody has in that area, and no, I would take up for them any day. I even pissed somebody off. Y'all know that Sandra types in all caps. I was talking about the Cornbread Mafia on Cher's panel one night, you know, like I'm just talking now, and she swore him down I was part of the fucking Cornbread Mafia. No, I'm just from that area, and I know the kids, you know, I just know a little bit about them. It's my whole life, and she started calling me cornbread, cotton, all kinds of shit. They're bingo, chicken lady. They are. They're just good old boys, and they're in DePod. It's not like, you know, no. And that's public knowledge that that's what they're known for. Hold on a second here. We are going to watch a little bit. I'm going to play a video. This is from 5 years ago. This is from Kentucky News Network. I hate people blaming them because it's not right, and because they're not about that life with kids. They're about that life protecting kids if needed.
Back when this country was very young, one of the first homegrown legends was Daniel Boone, who blazed the trail into what later became Kentucky. Well, right now, Angeline Hartman has the story of another Kentucky legend named Boone, who's famous for blazing something other than trails.
There's been a lot of stuff paid for and bought by moonshine. Have you ever drank any moonshine?
I don't think I've ever drank it.
Well, don't never drink it unless you put it in a saucer and light it. It'll burn real pretty blue. If it don't mess with it because it's poison.
In this swath of southwestern Kentucky, they still talk about moonshiners and revenuers.
It's almost if each generation's dabbled slightly in the criminal element.
Taking with them a deep suspicion of law enforcement and their efforts to control the local vices.
Most of those that are involved in marijuana will tell you their great-grandfather was a moonshiner.
Marijuana. With so much open land in the bluegrass state, pot growers are everywhere, hiding their crops beneath power lines or camouflaging them in cornfields.
Don't say no, just say grow. You got a good picture of it? He causeth the grass to grow for the cattle and herb for the service of man, that he may bring forth food out of the earth. God gave us a seed to grow the weed.
And locals say no one in Kentucky is better at growing that weed than Johnny Boone, also known as the king of pot and the godfather of grass.
So therefore, I see that Johnny Boone has never broken the laws of the big book. Only mankind.
There ain't nothing bad I can say about the man.
In places like Springfield, where Abraham Lincoln's parents married at the downtown courthouse, Boone's neighbors describe him as a venerable Santa Claus.
He helps out the community, donates money, helps people who needs money. You know, he's a good guy. He ain't no hardened criminal like all those other guys.
Not according to the troopers who fly all over Kentucky, searching for hidden marijuana crops from the air, then hiking for miles through rough terrain to destroy them.
You can see where these plants are, they have a long root on them, so they've been here a while. And basically the eradication process is just that, picking it up, and then we take a machete, chop it up into small pieces, and discard it over here on the property.
Even so, authorities know there's always another crop close by, growing, just like Johnny Boone's legacy.
What he's done is he has cultivated thousands of pounds of marijuana that he's distributed nationwide.
Becoming a superstar in a criminal syndicate that law enforcement calls the Cornbread Mafia.
They were actually distributing to Cuba, Jamaica, a lot of the island places off the coast of Florida.
But this is more than a story about the war on drugs. According to police, Johnny Boone isn't just a good-hearted pot-growing Robin Hood, but a bipolar bar-brawling crime boss whose closest associates seem to end up dead.
Through different interviews, you find out a lot about Johnny Boone that a lot of people don't know, and I'm sure he doesn't want anybody to know.
For example, here's Boone's 250-acre homestead. It looks peaceful from the air, but he embellished the property with animal bones, allegedly as an ominous warning to potential pot thieves.
I've heard that he had rattlesnakes in the marijuana fields with the rattlers cut off so they wouldn't give the signal before they attacked.
He loved his Rottweiler. He's been known to cut the vocal cords on the Rottweilers, and he would starve them so that way they become quite vicious and they can sneak right up on behind you and grab a hold of it before you know it.
In reality, it's hard to figure out exactly what occurred on the farm, since pot thieves don't talk, and Boone and his admirers claim to live by omerta, the code of silence long invoked by Italian-American mobsters.
They don't feed us rat poisons because we're not rats. We won't say nothing on each other.
What cops say is Boone imported seeds from as far away as the old Soviet Union and Afghanistan, breeding plants that yielded a more potent high, and transporting his product in ways that were both ingenious and disgusting.
Apparently there's a special place you can cut on a cow where you can remove certain chunks of fat. They would tightly wrap the marijuana, enclose it inside the cow, sew the cow back up so nobody could see it, and ship the cattle across the United States.
In 1981, Boone apparently learned police were planning to raid his property. Cops say he immediately jumped into his pickup and gunned it at a group of officers, leading them on a long chase through Kentucky's back roads.
In the meantime, the whole entire marijuana grow was removed. And when the state police and stuff went out there to raid that farm, there was nothing to be found but a large empty plot.
The incident inspired a local singer to compose this ode to Marion County's most famous outlaw.
John Robert Boone is the man, made his living off of God's gracious land.
But in 1987, the law caught up with Boone when he was sentenced to 20 years for growing nearly 200 tons of pot, worth more than $1 billion by today's standards. With Johnny behind bars, his son Jeff allegedly ran the operation, spending some $200,000 to build himself a home next to his father's.
When Johnny was released from jail, he was not happy with Jeff at all for using that money.
After one argument, cops say, Jeff was found with a gunshot wound to the head.
And it's officially ruled a suicide, but you never know. I mean, you are dealing with Johnny Boone.
3 years later, Boone's girlfriend Rosa gave birth to another son. Police say Johnny was overjoyed, believing the boy to be the reincarnation of Jeff. The relationship with his mother, though, would soon end badly.
Johnny had a falling out with Rosa. She threatened him with going to the police with the information she knew that could incriminate him. Next thing you know, her parents were getting a phone call saying that Rosa hung herself in a bar.
In May 2008, while flying over Boone's property, troopers say they spotted more than 2,000 marijuana plants. Given his past criminal history, Boone was now facing life behind bars.
Immediately after the arrest warrant came out for Johnny, he kind of went on a drinking binge. It was non-stop drinking. Since that point, Johnny Boone's been on the run from the law.
And more than a few local citizens have been spotted in this T-shirt, urging Boone to keep running.
If he would have run against Obama, you'd have Johnny Boone for president.
Is that right?
Yep.
That many supporters, huh?
He would have had a bunch of them. They won't catch Johnny. He's got too many friends. I'm being truthful with you. They might as well be looking for a ghost.
Of course, Johnny Boone is no ghost. Cops say he's a violent, unpredictable fugitive. Boone is a vegetarian, fond of Native American rituals. He can remain sober for long periods of time, but when he drinks, cops say he's a mean, menacing man. If you know where Johnny Boone is tonight, please call our hotline at 1-800-CRIME-TV.
Now, as you heard Angeline say, Boone follows a code of silence used by Italian-American mobsters called omerta. And here in Boone's own flowery handwriting is his interpretation of the code. Right here he writes, always have a clear view of right and wrong, to do right without reserve. Well, what's clear is that Boone doesn't take this very seriously. Now, we know he looks a lot like Santa Claus, but we also know that cops say he's a deadly, ruthless drug lord. They say he's highly intelligent and speaks fluent Spanish. He may own an airplane as well as property in Belize. So if you know where he's hiding, please don't be afraid to come forward. Call 1-800-CRIME-TV with your tip. And I give you my word, you can remain anonymous. Do the right thing, give us that tip.
Coming up, he seemed to have a big heart, but he also how you can help.
Have arrested a Kentucky fugitive who was featured on America's Most Wanted. ABC 36's Fadia Patterson joins us in studio with more details on the capture of the suspect known as the Godfather of Grass. Fadia, good morning.
Good morning, Don. Robert Boone is the former leader of the Cornbread Mafia. Investigators call it the largest domestic marijuana syndicate in American history. Canadian police say the 73-year-old was arrested Thursday when a tip led them to a small town outside of Montreal, Canada. Authorities in Kentucky say they have been looking for Boone since 2008. That's when police seized more than 2,000 marijuana plants from his farm in Springfield, Kentucky. Investigators say Boone also had 29 marijuana farms in at least 8 other states. In the 1980s, Boone was convicted and spent more than 10 years in federal prison. This is Boone's third federal case, and he could face the punishment of life in prison. Boone is being held in Canada and will be extradited to the United States. Reporting live in studio, Fadia Patterson, ABC.
In newly released video, investigators record more than 1,000 marijuana plants at the Springfield, Kentucky farm belonging to the man dubbed the Godfather of Grass, Johnny Boone. It's 2008, and state police raid the property after the plants are spotted during an aerial operation. Inside the home, there's more marijuana, some drying out, some already packaged for sale. But Boone avoids authorities until he's located in Canada in 2016. And on Thursday, he finally answered to those charges. The 74-year-old was sentenced to 57 months in prison, and friends say it's a win.
A year ago, he thought he might be looking at 20 years, so the lawyer's done a heck of a job for him.
A team of lawyers working pro bono managed to get 3 months off the Fed's recommended 60-month sentence.
Obviously, you can't ever be happy about going to jail, but as Mr. Boone said, when he was apprehended in Canada, that he honestly thought that he would never see the other side of jail so long.
This was, after all, Boone's third federal case, the most infamous in 1989. Boone, the leader of the Cornbread Mafia, was arrested after 182 tons of marijuana was seized at farms in 9 Midwestern states. At the time, federal authorities said his was the largest domestic marijuana-producing organization ever. And for these latest charges, lawyers say Boone was prepared to spend the rest of his life behind bars. But now he'll be free before he turns 80.
I just hope Mr. Boone, survives the next couple of years in prison, and I'd like to see him on his front porch in a rocker.
It's just interesting. All right, let's continue.
Happened was maybe they you guys will see that some of the pictures and some of the things used, like that clip now that was used.
And hey to everyone that came in that I missed while we were watching that. Sorry.
You see, on to Dr. Oz. Part of our deal was they would license some of the pictures and letters between her and Chris Watts and whatever. And so she did get money for that. But then what happens is, and this is where you guys are gonna see a bunch of our channels are gonna start getting strikes now from certain things that we've aired. And everyone airing, the reason I'm not airing the Dr. Phil stuff is because channels are gonna start getting very bad strikes and even removed for doing that because they don't fuck around at Dr. Phil copyrights. But anyway, they do licensing on things. And I'm telling you, it takes about 2 weeks after airing before the licensing goes into place. So I'm warning creators, everything that you see that was used of other people's channels or the pictures used on the 2 episodes of Dr. Phil, within 2 weeks, you guys are going to start getting copyright strikes on your channels for showing those. So you'll have to go through and probably delete them or something, but just be aware because I know how it works because I helped my friend get on. And I told some channels like those letters you were using to bash my friend are now like copyrighted, and yeah, so Dr. Oz shows can actually, with certain Chris Watts stuff that we sent in for Chrissy, like they can get copyright strikes now, even though everyone's been putting them on their channel for years. So that's probably another thing they did, which they do that to try and cut down with the bullying and stuff like that. So they say, so just watch for that. Be mindful of that, because I do know that that's a thing they do. Yes, the Sheriff Ronnie Lawson, the Lawson family for many, many generations is SDA. And if you go to Sheriff Ronnie Lawson's Twitter, the first thing it says in his Twitter is that he is a child of God, in God's kingdom, blah, blah, blah. It sounds very much like Don, how Don talks, but that's literally like his introduction on Twitter. And he puts it before even being a sheriff and being protector of whatever Hawkins County. He puts the church thing first. I'll find it all and show it to you later. Mr. Cher, I love you. Yeah, I can't get Rose out of my head. Yeah, that, I mean, and I'm telling you guys, I know the conversation that I heard. I know that those two have something and they're worried about something. Again, Don told me they will never find the evidence on my wife and me. Not, they won't find any evidence. They will never find the evidence. The evidence, okay? Wrong word to use. I don't care what anyone says. That is exactly the words that come out of his mouth to me. They will never find the evidence against my wife and me. Oh, okay, Don. Whatever. That's wrong. And then, hey, yeah. My baby's supposed to be working. I don't think he is. Yeah. Yeah. Here, I'll put the link in chat again. Alex, get up here. Said he thought they were guilty, C&D would run up. Right, exactly. I've turned all important things to TBI. Just because I didn't put it on my channel, like that's the thing. The fighting, everything, all like that. TBI saw that. Everything got turned into TBI, that's something. And exact words TBI, anything you need. Like you can take my phone, whatever. They could go take their phone and see what we all said too. But if anyone wanted the phones that communicate with Don, they know they could have them. But there's been yeah, you need a passport to fly, but I'm Canadian, so I just need
Barbie's 2 bits. Isn't that interesting? I seen your other comment too, and I screenshotted that, and I'm definitely going to look into that too. But they're not about children. And like people come on here and say they know so and so. I don't know the dad, but a brother or sister, we went to the same school. Their dad was a member of the mafia, but we don't know, you know what I'm saying? But I do know they do not fuck with kids. They will fuck you up over a child, or they'll fuck you up if you fuck them over, or you know what I'm saying? But no, it's not. It's strictly business marijuana. And I mean, like I said, you can look anywhere. It's known facts. They have never, ever, ever been involved in any kind of child, nothing. And I stand up for them because I do know a little bit about it, and that's the truth. And you can watch so much on it. We can watch more if you want to. I was actually just looking at stuff. Here, watch this one real quick. No, I don't know. I don't want to show that one, no. Just a second. I like to talk about history and facts, and people just need to say I don't know where that thought even come from for someone to say cornbread mafia, because it's totally not their style at all. The cornbread mafia, yeah. I mean, yeah, I know about it, and I know the history on it. I know everything, you know what I'm saying? And it is very interesting. It really is. They were good people, for real. They would sit down and smoke a joint with you. They would never harm your child, but they would harm somebody that harmed your child. I promise you that. It's not like they go out and seek violence, but yeah.
On oil for what, 2 months now? Yes, sir. And aches and pains, sleeping better, lost some weight. I mean, if there's so many benefits to this oil, that there's some benefits that we don't even know yet.
Yeah.
If you have arthritis, if you have sleeping issues, it doesn't cure it, but it helps.
And that's the main thing. You know, we're not saying it cures anything. What we are saying it's a natural remedy for things that may occur. And I use it. I've used it since we first started growing hemp.
Right.
Personally, I've used it ever since we first started growing it. And it's a natural remedy. It's, you know, like we said, it's been around for thousands of years, and it's something that ours is about as organic as you can get. It's made not hardly anything put in it except the product.
That's awesome. That's good stuff. On my second bottle, and I can only say good things about it. So y'all putting out quality product. Now, where can we go and buy this stuff?
You can get it at dickandboone.com for sure online. But of course, Pat's Pharmacy, we always give a shout out to Pat's. It was one of the first pharmacies. Switcher and Low Pharmacy, Ben's Pharmacy in E-Town.
Okay.
One Love Hemp Dispensary, Nancy Roberts, and first, you know, ours is back.
And y'all do things right here in Raywick. So good stuff. What is in your books?
So all the rest of these guys.
Yeah.
Jimmy, Johnny, Bobby Joe, Dick Hammer, Red Hog, and to a smaller extent.
I don't know what he's talking about. That's what he's
I thought they were leaving.
Yeah.
Oh man. Fred Hogg.
But even today, you know, it's kind of all come full circle.
Yeah.
We're all here together, and I guess
that's the main thing.
We're fortunate we're all here today. I guess looking back.
Well, you know, one of the stories I remember from the book, Fred Hogg, you bailing out. Well, didn't you bail out of the car? You and I mean, how the heck would
Don't keep driving. We went around this Kansas like a square mile gravel, but just 45 cop.
And you
obsessed with survivors.
That's awesome.
I'll tell you one thing. It's a pleasure talking to you guys.
Well, thank you.
And get it out.
And thank you for the moonshine, man.
You're welcome.
And we'll have some fun. So Johnny, one of the things that when regardless, and you are a legend, which brings up a question. Number one is when people say you're a legend, how do you think about that? But more importantly, when people talk about Johnny Boone, the overriding thing that I hear people talk about is how good you were and are to people. But what is it? Is that a true? When people say, "Oh, he's the most humble guy," he's all about helping people.
It's absolutely true. Absolutely.
Whole circle we got here today.
What people talk about is how good you were and are to people. But what is it? Is that a true? When people say, "Oh, he's the most humble guy," he's all about helping people. That's you, isn't it?
I think it's a whole circle we got here today because everybody's helped a lot of other people.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Yeah.
I'd like to go ahead and make a comment on Johnny Boone while I'm here. I've known Johnny since I was 17, 16. His son Jeff and me, we grew up together. And Johnny Boone is a good person. And like Johnny said, everybody around this table is. They've never done anything bad. And for the federal government to give them that kind of time for a plant that is now legal in most of the United States, and unfortunately not in Kentucky, is just ridiculous. And Johnny, just like his son, best people ever.
Good stuff. Johnny, it's fun to hear stories. Do you have any kind of story on Red Eye that you could tell us? I mean, because
well, breaking the rules on mercy.
Yeah. Nothing that is real bad, but it's something that make you blush a little bit. You got anything over there?
I can't tell.
So, Dick Hammer, we've heard many funny stories about the young man sitting next to you. Okay, Red Eye.
Yes, that's a good one. Let me cut in on that.
Yeah, go ahead.
The story, Fred Hogg was talking about, when I was driving, right?
Right.
And they jumped down and everything. Well, my good friend Red Eye there didn't get enough. A few weeks later, he decided to make a pass back through there himself. Tell us about that, Bobby.
Yeah.
Elaborate.
Pull that mic Pull that mic to Bobby.
I didn't go to jail over it.
But he got charged as jump, didn't he?
Yeah, we got his charge.
Tell us about that escape, CJ. That's good.
Well, I went back to the farm, and I had a boy with me. And anyway, I got the lights cut off, and I drive back to this dope farm. And looking at the house on the property, with no lights on, so the house was abandoned as usual. But anyway, I come back down the road, and there's a car, Ford V8 Interceptor Special that they like to drive,
Who's that, DJ?
So that'd be the police in Kansas.
Okay, we can clarify that.
And so this boy's with me. I told him, I said, well, that's the law. We didn't have no lights on. Of course, they turned their lights on, come out right after us. And I said, well, I think they're going to try to pull us over. He said, well, just stop. I said, I don't think that's in this agenda. Stop between miles.
Top speed.
That's moving that four-cylinder pretty hot and heavy.
Anyway, I kept chasing, they kept chasing, I kept running. I told them, I said, we got to get on these gravel roads. So I told them, I said, scoot over here in the middle. I said, now when it gets to 8/10 of a mile, I'm going to tell you when to start counting. And so when it hit, I said, count. He said, you're at 8/10. I just locked it up and slid in sideways because I couldn't, every time I hit my brakes, they'd hit theirs too. And so we was going just as fast as it'd go. Well, we got on that dirt, outrun them. Of course, they couldn't see nothing but dust. And so we come over a hill on the dirt roads, a lot of dirt roads in Kansas and gravel. We come over the hill, I lock it up and slide. Leave gravel tore up every place and I let off the brakes.
Barbie, thank you for that. I am just a down home girl, you know, and I live by my morals, and I grew up, you know, Southern and Kentucky, and hillbillies and stuff like this is just it's a different world. It really is. And nothing in a bad way. I'm proud to be a hillbilly. Y'all done got me squirreled off on this here, but really anything goes, you know, because this is kind of related to, you know, the Wells. Ashley J. Dare, that's my girl. I know her we're from the same area. Yep. I've known her longer than anybody on here. Hey, Ashley, I talked to Mark today. Ain't that funny? I'll leave it at that. I'll text you. Yeah. I think it's important to educate people on the cornbread mafia. They're not, I'm not saying this, I might be biased, but Kentucky people are some of the best people you'll ever meet in your fucking life. Hands down. I'm sorry. And the best cooks you'll ever meet in your life. And watch Hillbilly Elegy or read the book, The True Story. One of my favorite movies. It's on Netflix. It was. I don't know if it still is. Marijuana people are peaceful people, yep. And moonshine. Here we'll listen to a little bit of Cher, and then I'll get us some more Cornbread Mafia content.
Because what they do is sometimes, like, Robin will be on the phone with Dawn, and then, or be on the phone with Candace, and Dawn will be at work, so then she'll have the other phone on with Dawn on the phone so that Robin can see both of them, or vice versa. But Robin, the church lady, told me both Dawn and Candace have 2 phones each, and that was interesting. Also, like, why do they need 2 phones each? I don't know. It's weird. What was that? Be fair, Miss Cher. Dawn then said, because there isn't any. Yes, because he did. There was a pause. He said they aren't going to find the evidence against my wife and I because there isn't any. That's exactly how it went. Paused for 2 seconds, 3 seconds, because there isn't any. So he knew. He picked up on what just came out of his mouth and fixed it. So yes, I'll be fair. That was said. Sorry, I'm making coffee.
Hey, I almost dropped the phone as soon as I came on. So have you seen the new clip that Dr. Phil put out this morning?
Yes, I saw them.
He says in that he doesn't think that either of them personally hurt her and then like went and hid her body somewhere. So that makes me, I wonder if he's thinking like the same, you know, maybe they sold her. So I don't know, because as hard as he was on Candace yesterday, I just cannot feel that he's going to be so easy on her today. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that, who knows when he said that, right? Because we see what he said yesterday. It wasn't really looking good, or like he believed them, right? But we don't know. Like, we see that clip today. Yeah, I see it, and I'm a little irritated by even just seeing that. But we don't know when he said that. That could have been at the beginning when they came out to make them comfortable and want to talk. Like, hey, I don't think you hurt your kid. You know what I'm saying? It could be that, but we don't know because there's editing magic now and all of that. So who knows exactly when that was said? But again, you can say like, hey, yeah, I don't think you killed your daughter, and they're gonna feel, oh yeah, cool. Like, what did Don say in the background? Awesome. When he said that, awesome. Yeah, I don't think I'm not sitting here thinking you killed your daughter. And Don's first word was awesome. And it's like, oh shit. But that doesn't mean that he doesn't think that they set up the situation that happened to the daughter. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, I think that's a good point. So they have 2 phones each, but Candace had to have Dawn call 911 because she didn't have service. Remember?
Yeah. So I'm not sure when they got a second phone each, or how long. They've always had 2 phones, but I do know that I was told in July that they have 2 phones.
Interesting. Super interesting. Well, I just wanted to hop on here for a second until, for you, until your next person comes on. I have a bunch to do today anyway, so I'll probably hop off here, but I'll be listening to the rest.
Okay, you have a good day.
Okay, you too. Bye, guys.
Hey, Jessica.
Hey, Cher. Thank you for letting me up. First, I want to apologize to you for, going pretty hard on you. That wasn't right of me. I got wrapped up in the passion of the case, and I definitely said some things I truly regret. I hope you can forgive me.
Of course, yeah. Everyone's emotions are high on this case, and like I tell people, I think it's so much more on this case because, well, in other cases we kind of know, like I say in the Watts case, we know, where everybody is. They're laid to rest. In Summer, we don't know where she is. She's lost, and she's a 5-year-old girl. Most of us are parents, so I do understand the passion and the emotions involved. So I do appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. But I'm here to argue with you. Not necessarily, but I hold a different opinion.
It's okay. So what do you think?
Well, like with Don saying, they won't find the evidence on us.
Mm-hmm.
I think we have to be mindful that he speaks in a way that most of us don't. He's not as educated as we are, right? And him saying the evidence on us could mean he's holding hope that there is evidence, but he knows it won't be found on them. I don't think that's necessarily like a red flag of guilt. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that is a fair opinion. I guess that's where I disagree. Is I think that both Candace and Don are a lot smarter than they let people think they are. I mean,
right.
Like they said yesterday, Don edits when he talks, and Candace, in my opinion, is afraid Don's going to slip up and say something that he should.
Well, he did, right?
Bad.
He slipped up a few times, and he slipped up and said, "I have 7 alibis. Candace has none." My personal opinion is Don wasn't involved. I think Don was clueless. I think Don knows more now than he did then. And as far as Candace being fearful of the cornbread mafia, I have a few thoughts on that. One being, could it be, because we know it's a small town. I'm more on the thing of the small town conspiracy in the church. I'm thinking there's involvement on that end. But
I
could it
do
also
too.
be,
Okay, interesting.
That's where I'm at. And I think that Candace does know what happens, but I don't think Candace had a choice in it. And I think that, and as far as her being scared when the cornbread mafia was brought up, let's remember the cornbread mafia is like a term for a lot of things, not necessarily one organization. I think the behavioral panelists touched on that at one point. They're from a small town of corruption. Everybody's related. Everybody goes back for decades. The sheriff, the judge, everybody's connected, right?
Mm-hmm.
So at some point, I mean, Don has even said himself, these people, they make moonshine, they make drugs, they manufacture all this stuff. Could it simply be that they came to Candace and Don and said, "You're bringing too much attention to our town. If anybody starts picking into us, you're going to have a problem." So when Candace hears them on national TV bring up the cornbread mafia, she's right away like, "They're going to kill us. Get me out. Get me out." You know what I mean? Like, couldn't it be something like that? Because small town corruption is real. I mean, we know it. And there is that fear factor of Don saying, "I never associated with them. They knew who we were. We kept quiet. We kept away from those type of people. So they're not in the inn. So they're quick to be taken out." You know what I mean?
Yeah, I kind of think that Don, my opinion is that Don is a part of that group.
Do you think he's part of it?
I do, and here's why.
Okay.
Here's why. We've talked about things, and he's kind of not confirmed or denied, but kind of laughed. I do know of the situation, which he explains very differently to people online. Do you guys remember the situation where there was a 5-year-old girl walking around at night on his way home from work one time, and he didn't like that, and so she said, "Well, my papa is inside," whatever, that whole situation. And then he said, the crazy woman went on Facebook and started posting that he was trying to coerce this little girl into his truck or whatever.
Right.
I know what really happened in that situation, and with what happened in that situation kind of tells me that he is kind of like someone you don't really fuck with. Okay, so let's put it like this. If you can just barge into someone's house, like, because here's the story that I got multiple times, and Mr. Cher, of how that story went. He says he was asking, "Well, why are you out here? It's dark, blah, blah, blah." And that he went and knocked on the door, and the guy came to the door and was kind of like incoherent and blah, 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 blah. And he was like, "Well, what the fuck, man? Your little daughter's out here." And then the wife turned around and said that Don was trying to coerce the little girl. That's not actually what happened. Because what really happened, because I was on the damn phone with him that night, he ran into this guy's house. He saw the little girl up there. I can say he was not trying to coerce that little girl into the truck, but he did just act as though he owned the neighborhood and he owned that house. And when he barged into the house, that man, like the girl's papa, was actually in bed, drunk and like high, was in bed and not coherent. And Don ran right up in that house and was screaming and yelling at the guy, he said. And right then I was like, well, Don, like, yeah, in my opinion, because I know like what my daddy used to do, but yeah, I do. And that's why maybe Candace had her reaction, knowing you don't just run up to people's houses like that when he's telling us how bad these people are, right? They're gangs, they're bad, they're druggies. But here you are just running up into people's houses and screaming at them and slapping them around. So that told me right then and there, when I was on the phone with him through that night, I told myself, no, you guys are wrong. Don is right. Here's the deal. Don and Candace are, and this is how I describe myself, so I feel fine in saying this, because there's a difference between being book smart and street smart. And when you grow up in lives like Candace and Don, myself, have, we are very street smart. And in this situation, it doesn't take book smarts. This is where you have to be street smart. And part of being street smart is allowing everybody to think that you are fucking stupid because you aren't book smart, and that shows through. And that is part of being street smart, is just letting people think how dumb you are. Yep, I'm dumb. I'm a dumb hillbilly. Yep, I'm a dumb hillbilly. No, you guys, and that's wrong. It's wrong. He has been institutionalized. He's grown up in multiple different prisons. Me and him have talked about the killers that he has talked to in prison and the people he has spent time with and got to know. We've had conversations about these things. And this situation does not take book smarts. It takes street smarts, and that's what's happening here. There's a huge difference. So when people are like, "Oh, he's not dumb," or "He's not smart," no, he might not be smart to be able to tell you the capital of all the places in the world or whatever. He may not be able to pass like an immigration test or whatever, or like a history test. But that's not what we're dealing with here.
Yeah, but so first I'm going to say you're right. Street smarts and book smarts are completely different, right?
Sorry,
But
candy boobs. I had to. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
you have to have some sense of book smarts to outsmart people like the FBI, the local police, maybe not his local police.
But what if they
the
were all
nation of
involved?
Phil,
Just,
the behavioral panelists and Dr. Phil aren't involved.
but how do we know that they aren't part of the establishment? Or how do
Well,
we
that's
know
a whole
what they're
nother.
getting?
I got to be stoned to go there with you, and I'm not right now, so I can't even go there. But
Well,
I think with the
if you
situation,
think about child trafficking and even sex trafficking, let's
Yeah,
think
it's
about
higher
this
up.
real. It's higher up people, right? Like the Super Bowl. Super Bowl is the biggest sex trafficking event of the year, and we have the politicians that are the ones buying this. We have the FBI people. Like, it is the higher ups of what I call the establishment that are running and helping hide these things. And I do question Ronnie Lawson, and I want to bring people's attention. Ronnie Lawson didn't say shit until I demanded a couple days ago that he say something more than just, "Nope, I'm not related to Ronnie Wells." Does anyone notice that? Like, I was like, "Mr. Ronnie Lawson, this is not cool." Hey, Lipstick, by the way.
Hello. Sorry.
Go ahead, Jessica. No, please finish it. Sorry for interrupting. Go finish on what you were saying.
Okay. Usually when there is that many higher ups and all, they're the cases we don't hear about. They're the cases we have to go looking for. They're not the cases they bring national spotlight to, right? And
That's
another
true.
thing, I think you were insinuating with the whole Don Virgin in the house that maybe he's the muscle man for the mafia, like the debt collector per se. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, I have affiliations with local biker clubs and stuff, and I understand my uncle was one of them, to be honest. So I know what you're saying there. But could it also been the passion of like, my daughter is missing, my daughter's out here missing, and you have your 5-year-old out here while you're belligerent in your bed, and
No.
you're so angry and passionate? Okay,
No,
so
I was on the phone
all
with him.
excuses are different thoughts. You know what I
I'm
mean?
going to tell you that I know what he's telling the public, and it's not the same thing I heard on the phone.
Well,
Summer's
there's no
name,
doubt about that. Because
Summer's
he's
name
talking
wasn't
about-
mentioned. It should have been, "What are you doing? My daughter's missing. Why are you letting your daughter out?" Summer's name was not mentioned to this man at all.
Right, but people don't always act the way we act. You know what I mean? It's not like a book of how people should respond to things to automatically be like, "Well, that means it's guilty," or that he wasn't thinking of her. And Don's a drunken fool. He sometimes overshares, if you ask me. He tells things that he shouldn't tell people. He does things he shouldn't do. I just feel like at this point, Don,
You notice
one of
that's
them
when
would've left.
Candace tries to stop him. I agree with you on that.
Right.
I think
Candace is the upper arm in that relationship. People are like, "Oh, Don's going to beat her up, and Don's going to..." No, Candace is going to fuck him up, for real.
Yeah.
Like, you see it, you hear it, you know it. Even with Don supposedly hitting her on camera. Whether we saw it or not, you saw she was tormenting him, right? So maybe he did, like, push his arm, like Candace, stop, like, you're embarrassing, stop. And she's like, "Oh, you broke my punch." Like, she's so belligerent that she's just, I mean, you know what I mean? And you hear, like, a silverware. So you can't tell me she wasn't threatening him in some type of way. And I'm not defending domestic violence one bit. I think if he hit her, he is very much wrong for doing so. I just don't think Candace is this like little abused woman that people try putting out.
No, she's not. She's not. I mean, she straight up tells Dawn. With me on the phone, she tells Dawn. Like, she has a code word that if Dawn fucks up too much and makes her too mad, that people have this code word and they are to call the sheriff and say she just got her ass whooped, and what she would, that she could make it believable or whatever. And she tells Dawn, like, "I'm going to call the police on you." Like, and also I've seen where Candace, it's in screenshots. I'll even say who she said it to. Dawn Keller. Dawn Keller knows too. Candace even has said that she believes that Dawn did something more to Summer and that he is not being truthful to even her. So Candace is saying Dawn's a liar. And I'm telling you, I've witnessed it. You all have heard. I've witnessed Candace threatening him with prison. For what though? It's not about him talking to YouTube. So what is she threatening? What is she holding over his head?
Well, if you ask me, I think Candace is the guilty one, and she's going to try to throw Don out. Because the minute Don said, "I have 7 alibis, Candace has none," that argument went from like, and she was so jealous. She was saying things like, "Oh, they can SUV later." And she was jealous that he was on panel with women. So like, think about what. So she's that jealous about women on the
not
internet.
just women though. She doesn't like him talking to guys.
She doesn't
either.
like women. She doesn't like women at all.
She doesn't like women at all. Thank you.
And her mind immediately goes to sexual relations, right away, because he's talking to women who's having sexual relations. That tells me she's been hurt. And I know nobody wants to sympathize with her, but that tells me that there's been, affairs in a relationship, or she's that insecure for some reason. Something's making that happen. But she's that jealous. She's that jealous that she'll make an ass out of herself, knowing she's trying to prevent Don from making an ass out of herself, right? Because Don's already done that. So she's like, "Don't go on these panels, stop talking to people." But the minute it's women and she's threatened, she'll act that way. It makes me wonder, how does she feel about Don and the way he spoke about and treated Summer? Does she want to eliminate that from her life? That's where I think it's about Candace. That's why I think Candace really, she knows something. She knows it. She knows Don knows it. And neither of them have clean hands. And Candace is like, "Don, if I go down, you're going down with me." And so now they're both on the stupid boat of, I don't know. But in reality, they both know, but they'll both go down for it. You know, I mean,
maybe she caught him doing something to her.
No, Don and I have talked about that, Alex. Sorry. Don and I have talked about him. I personally believe he's covering for his wife, and he knows that. And one day y'all will see the text messages between him and I on that. But that's where I think he's being a good husband. If that makes sense. He's trying to protect his wife.
But is he really protecting himself?
We have had that conversation, and he has never told me, Cher, shut up, Cher, it's not my wife. He is just, no, I don't know about that. You know, he has never left that off the table with me. Let's put it that way.
But then we have to go back to the church thing. And that's one of the reasons I came on panel. When I was 8 years old, I went to a Christian school that was in the basement of the church. And me and several other girls, I was about 8, some of them were younger than me, were being molested on a daily basis by a student teacher. So, and that was back in the late 70s, early 80s. So if that can happen then, I can't imagine what it is now. So,
well, it's always been happening. The difference is there's attention to it now. We have social media and we have platforms like this. You know what I mean? So it brings those type of situations to the forefront. But it's always been there, decades.
I never told to this day. I've never told who it was or anything like that. I still am scared. So because they're such a pillar of the community.
I am so sorry.
No, but I mean that's what I'm saying. You know, on the church side about Summer, you know, it could be that too. So I'm just like teeter-tottering. You know what I mean?
Hi, thank you for being here. Sorry, go ahead.
But you know, teeter-tottering of, is it that with the church thing or is it Candace? So I'm back and forth. I mean, I have like several theories. I can't, you know, put my finger on any one theory, and I think everybody else is like that too. I can't put my finger on one theory. But I'll get off panel and let someone else talk. Thank you, Cher, for letting me come on, and you all have a wonderful day.
Thank you. You too. Thank you for sharing.
Well, and the church thing relates back to a community thing, right? Because this is a small, close-knit community. This is like that. Like, how many generations, Cher? I know you've looked into it. They're all generations, right?
Yeah. Back in 19, I think it was 1956 or even 36. Actually, there was a huge Lawson family massacre there, and they were all SDA church and everything. So I started following the Lawson, and I can tie the Wells into Lawson. I can't remember the name. I think it was Richard or something like that. But anyways, you can tie those names into the Lawson within that area and everything. And then looking at even just Ronnie Lawson's social media and everything like that, his Twitter stands out huge. You can tell he is SDA. So yeah, the SDA goes way back. And then even, I mean, there's history of the whole Lawson family massacre and only one family member surviving or something like that back in between 36 and 56. I don't remember what year it was. Hi, Coleman Colors and Amanda. Thanks for being here.
Hey, Cher. I just want to say 2 things and I'll hop down. And if you've already discussed them, I'm sorry. I noticed one thing yesterday that I didn't notice when they done the behavior panel just with Dawn. And that, you know, when asked about Candace, he said, of course he hesitates and he was like, he believes her because of the way it happened and the way it played out. What happened and what played out?
Thank you, Peach.
Did you notice the answers that way?
No.
He said that yesterday. I mean, it was on the first one. I just didn't pay attention to it.
Say it again. Yeah.
He said when they asked him if he thought Candace could be, you know, if they thought Candace could be lying to him, and he said not with the way it happened and not with the way it played out.
Yeah. Well, he's always stood by that. The way Candace, the emotions Candace has displayed makes him think that she's not guilty, right? He said that several times. Like, well, no, I see how emotional she is, and so I would think that's what he's referring to. That's my thing with Don is I don't think much of his story has changed. Now, sure, you talked to him on a personal level, so you know more. And I do know he cleans up his act after being in touch with you. We've all seen that, especially with Benny when he comes out with this new, like suddenly he's saying Summer's name he's never said before. He's had some guidance, right? And even with that guidance, he's still a complete jackass. He's still
guilty. I have admitted to people that I was absolutely, and people can see it. They can see what he was before I was having him on my channel, and they see what he is now. I mean, yeah, was he high or drunk while I've interviewed him? More than likely. However, there's messages to prove it. That is not what I wanted on my platform. I was telling him, do this. I told him to shower. Don't wear sunglasses. Wear your best shirt. Comb your hair nice. Like, do not drink today. Do not be high today. Show your eyes to people. Say your daughter's name. But, you know, it was very frustrating because I felt like, why am I shouldn't have to coach a man, right? So I did feel weird about it, but I also know that this is what happens because I'm very into the media by trial or trial by media cases. And so that is something that we did talk about. But at the same time, if he isn't, there is no textbook for anyone. Let's say we are all very wrong on them and they had nothing to do with what happened this summer. Like, there's no textbook how you're supposed to act or anything like that. But I could certainly make his image look a little bit better to have more people be at least open to actually hearing the words out of his mouth than coming on sloppy drunk with no shirt on and shades and greasy hair hanging out. You know what I'm saying? Like, Never.
No, I don't think you were wrong.
Cher?
I think that just shows that you cared about him on some type of level. You know what I mean? Like, not even him personally, but maybe like you just cared how people would perceive things. You were putting your, you know. I just want to touch on one more thing before I pop down. I know a lot of people are going off about them always being drunk and being high and the situation that played out in that live that night and everything. And I'm in recovery myself, and I'm not making excuses for them because they should not have children in their custody while this way. But I couldn't imagine, God forbid, if they were innocent, and the way they have rolled in the mud, right? Because they're dirty for a reason. They participate in all this. You have Michael Fallon's parents who don't speak, and they're not being drugged like this. But I also want people to slow down and remember, if you were, and if you are in recovery, and your life got flipped upside down like this, could you say that you want to kind of give it all up and just, you know, like be what they've been, which is drunken slobs every night? I can't say that I want it. My kids are my world. If I woke up tomorrow without them, I think I would go off the deep end too. And that's
I
where
understand what you're saying. But do you really think they're in recovery? I don't see they've ever been in active recovery.
No.
Yeah,
No,
so I think we're in a different side of that. I think that recovery is a little bit different.
They are not in recovery. I've offered to help get them into recovery, and he says that they don't need it. Just like they say they don't need therapy, I've offered to help get that set up for them. And I've offered to help do because right now they're not considered victims, so they can't really get that help yet. I believe they have to be labeled as victims, as we're looking into, to have them paid for. I've offered help ways, but the way it is just going to do it. We're just not going to do it. We're just not going to do it.
I don't think they'd stay sober.
Yeah.
I don't think you want them to have a problem at all.
Is that you? I just, if you are Juanita, sidekick Juanita, that I said some horrible things about, I apologize to you for that.
The passion of the case, am I right?
Passion of the case, yeah, I'm just.
I'm not really saying if they were in recovery. What I'm saying is, people are saying like this is why everything happened, and this is what the kids were in, and we just don't know that. We don't know if it's gotten worse for them since the kids have been gone, or if this is their normal. You know what I mean? That's all I'm pretty much saying about that. But I appreciate you having me up. Again, I am so sorry. It was out of character for myself, and unfortunately, while being on YouTube, I'm finding myself more and more out of character. I'm working on that. These things get way too passionate and heated, and yeah, so I'm working on bettering myself. And thank you for accepting my apology and allowing me up today. And
I'm working on that every day too, girl. I've been in the same place. I've had to apologize to numerous other people. Like, I get it. It's, like you said, it's the passion, the emotions in this, and but people like you or me checking convictions when we can look at ourselves and be like, whoa, that's not me, and I do not want to continue that. I love that, so I do appreciate it, and I do accept. So thank you.
Thank you. And I'll down in chat. All right, I'll listen down below. Thank you.
Have a good day.
Where did that blue van come in? That blue minivan or that blue Ford Escape? And also, my mom lost her son, my twin, and I mean, he passed away. We didn't he's not missing. We know where he is. But it's been 9 years, and it still some days kills us. So I think that's where my frustration is. Cher, you know where I'm at with it, and I'm going to drop in chat.
Aw. Hi, C12. Hi, Amanda. Sorry, coat of many colors. Thank you for coming up here, honey. Hi, Amanda.
Hi, Cher.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm all right. What are you thinking in all this mess?
Well, I think it's hard to determine much, but I was listening about Don and how he's street smart, and I do agree with that. However, I think one part we're kind of not, or that I think is missing, is Don is not into the deeper level of psychology of it. He focuses on a very surface street level. Do you know what I mean? Like, he'll let it slip real easy. You know, he plays the game with people, but he doesn't get down to that deeper level of manipulation. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Hello, Samantha. Yeah. Because he's editing as it goes. Like, he knows he's not going to let people get that deep.
Yes, exactly. Yep. Now, do you think on Dr. Phil they will show or expose any of this about the alcohol, the phone calls, the way they've acted? Do you think really?
No, I think Don will bring it up, and I think no. I mean, do I hope that? I don't even think I want them to be honest. I think that we've had enough of that, and to do that on a higher scale, like the Dr. Phil show, I think would fan the flames even more, and get them focused on the wrong thing. So I don't think that's going to come up except for maybe out of Don's mouth, and I think that kind of Dr. Phil will try to a little bit ignore it. I'm not sure. I can be wrong, but no, I don't feel like I don't think they really will. It seems as though he's trying to every time Don even brings up the YouTube or social media, Dr. Phil doesn't really dwell on that part and just keeps it moving.
Yep. Okay. And then what do you think? I know the behavior panel has said a lot about they don't think he's lying. I also listened to Peter Hyatt, and Peter Hyatt said that he's so deceptive that he can't actually pinpoint when he's lying.
That would make him a psychopath, like a true psychopath.
And that's what, Peter Hyatt, I think he's pretty respectable. I don't know if you probably heard of him before or no?
I think I might have. I have to see his Facebook.
Yeah, you should go watch his, what he's kind of said about this. It's pretty interesting. But he does analysis too of speech. The name again, Peter Hyatt. And the one where he says about Don being so deceptive is they talk about statements of children who've gone missing. It's a more recent one. They evaluate like 3 different cases, and they come up somewhere in the middle, but their name isn't exactly tagged in it.
Howdy, howdy, cowboy.
So,
Yeah,
but
I'm gonna
yes,
look that
it's
up.
very interesting.
I do think that I mean, he believes the shit that comes out of his mouth, right?
Yes.
So,
Yep.
do I want to
Yep.
come on here and say I think he's a psychopath? No, not really.
Right.
But I do think he is a lot smarter than people give him credit
Yep.
for.
I agree. Also, with what I think is like what's missing, so you have the behavior panel on there evaluating behavior, and they say Candace gets really upset about this cornbread mafia. Then you notice Don doesn't do a thing. He doesn't react to it at all. So they say he doesn't lie, or they don't feel he's being deceptive. I shouldn't say lie because they don't say that's what they're looking at, but he has no reaction.
Right.
And she supposedly has a huge reaction to this. So you're saying they're both involved. If she's involved with the cornbread mafia or whatever, then he would have a reaction too because he knows who it is. Now, if he doesn't have a reaction, then that just shows you how good of a liar he is. So pick one.
Well, he did have a reaction. If you listen back, his reaction was the same reaction I got when I called him out for being a Fed informant, which some of you guys know or don't.
I didn't know you. I didn't know that.
Yeah, anyways, his reaction was laughing, but it's a real laugh, like it's a belly gut laugh. And if you listen back to when he's asked that, yeah, Candace starts freaking out. But Don's first reaction, and it's just for a second, he's laughing. He laughs.
Huh?
Is he laughing because cornbread mafia sounds funny? Or like, is he laughing like, haha, like shit, you caught me? Just like when I said, Don, like, you don't have federal charges. Why do you have a Fed number? I know what that means. Like, I'm not stupid. And so I straight up said, are you a federal informant? Like, what? Just say no.
Do you think that's why he said it goes deeper than you even think? Do you think that's why at all?
Well,
I mean,
I'll
this is
tell you,
like really pure speculation. Sorry.
The only thing he will not answer to me, and what he said goes deeper, is when we're talking about the cartel taking her, and that he needs $20,000 from the $50,000 to get her back. And no, that's what he said. No, it goes much deeper than that. But and I'm thinking,
So he
like,
laughed about that, but he also laughed about the cornbread mafia. So I mean, maybe he thinks that we're referring to those as the same thing, but he calls it something different.
No, he didn't laugh about that. He laughed about being called a Fed informant.
Right.
And he
but I
laughed
think
about
he's got to
cornbread
be
mafia.
tied to it. What is going on with these trips to Kentucky? You know,
Well,
people keep saying he goes there for 3 days and he comes back. I've heard
when the boys were taken away, he left the next day or even the day of. And yes, he was in Knoxville for 3 days. Robin told him to go home. All of those rumors are true.
Yep.
So yeah, is that kind of
what's there? I don't know. It's
a
just
woman.
Okay.
He left Candace for another woman for a couple days, and this person still talks to him. And she said, "Leave Candace, come here. Your boys can come here." And yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, a whole bunch of stuff. Yes, you can get my email. Now I am going to end this one, you guys, because I hear part 2 is out and going, and I know everyone wants to watch it. I'm going to
Thank you, Cher.
And yeah, I'll be live again tonight at 7.
Shit, I was on mute. Okay, that's all for that with Cher. Now we're gonna watch some stuff again on the cornbread mafia. Some facts, not what these motherfuckers on YouTube want to put out. Facts.
Such information and education about cannabis and hemp so that you can make really good, responsible decisions when and if you happen to decide time. Hey guys, Montel here, and thanks so much for tuning in to this edition of Let's Be Blunt with Montel. And one of the things that we try to do here at Let's Be Blunt is try to bring you as much information and education about cannabis and hemp so that you can make really good, responsible decisions when and if you happen to decide to go to a dispensary and navigate the space for your family's health and wellness needs. And today I'm really excited about having a guest on that we have because there's a perspective about cannabis, and I talk about it all the time. The fact that most people in this country have no idea what the history of cannabis is in America. They think that this is something that's been outlawed as a drug since day one and since America became America, and that's just a bald-faced lie. If we really took the time to understand how we got to where we got to today, most people in this country would agree that hemp should have been, remain legal throughout the entire time this country has existed. Most people don't know. When we, take history classes in school, they try to give, students the impression that America was built on the backs of cotton and tobacco, and that's really a lie. America was really, truly, originally built on the back of hemp. And most people don't understand that. We can go all the way back to, pre-Revolutionary War, sailing ships coming across the Atlantic Ocean, coming to the United States, normally carried, bales, baskets, a ton close to of hemp on board the ship and seeds. We ate hemp seeds back at the turn of the century, in the 1600s and 1700s. 1600s, early 1700s, most farmers were ordered by law to grow hemp in the United States of America. Because it was part of how we fabricated things like sails and ropes. And, the word canvas comes from cannabis. So, the canvas that we use, the entire Revolutionary Army was clothed in hemp uniforms. People don't know that. George Washington's Mason tents were all made of cannabis. And again, like I said, a lot of people ate hemp seeds because we recognized even back then at the late part of 1600s, early part of 1700s that, hemp seeds were some of the highest protein-laden seeds on the planet. And, even though World War II, even after hemp had been outlawed, the government had a hemp for victory program where, lots of our farmers across the country, and especially in the area of the country that we're talking about, that were available at the time, and medications and post-prohibition, that those who were so involved in outlawing alcohol realized that they were going to lose their job if they didn't find something that they could demonstrate against. And also because of, as we learned in a recent podcast, that because of, the Mexican War, and the fact that there was such a high influx of brown people into America, this was used as a racist re-enslavement tool in a sense to incarcerate people and get them off the streets of America. So, we really have to stop and think about our history before we think about what we're trying to do right now. And when we look at some of the attitudes of some of these deeply entrenched people saying, never hemp, never can marijuana, it's the devil's weed. All this stuff is really just based on really bad, false information that was propagated just so that funding could continue in the offices of those who were trying to dictate to Americans how they should live. And that's why, again, I'm excited about our show today, because our guest today is a native of Lebanon, Kentucky. I said Lebanon, Kentucky. And he wrote his first nonfiction account of the Cornbread Mafia, which tells the story of the biggest domestic marijuana syndicate in American history, which took place in his hometown of Marion County, Kentucky. With the book's success, he became a nationally recognized cannabis journalist covering Kentucky for the Washington Post and cannabis policy for Politico. And in 2018, he left journalism to co-found Cornbread Hemp with his cousin, Eric Zipperly. Jim Higdon, thanks so much for being a part of Let's Be Blunt with Montel today, sir.
Montel, it's so great to be here. Thank you so much for having me. It's a really great intro. You've given us so much to talk about already. I'm really excited to be here.
And you're right. We do have quite a bit to talk about. Let's start with your background. You're from Marion, Kentucky, right?
Yeah, I'm from Lebanon, Kentucky. Geographic center of the state. We're about out of the pandemic. We're about ready to get back into social situations again. Back when we could meet people in bars, I used to be able to point to the red wax of a bottle of Maker's Mark bourbon behind a bar and say, I'm from there. The Maker's Mark distillery is a part of my hometown, part of my hometown economy. My grandmother was actually born on the distillery property during Prohibition, and it's that corner of the world that we come from. And then as I was growing up, when I was in middle school, a lot of parents of my classmates started getting arrested. They started getting arrested in Kentucky and in other states. And between 1985 and 1989, 70 white men from central Kentucky, from my neck of the woods, 70 men arrested on 30 farms in 10 states with 200 tons of marijuana in what federal officials said was the largest domestic marijuana syndicate in American history. But of these,
and federal law enforcement said that then, but then if they had looked back to 1710 to 1770, you would have realized that every single farm was the largest domestic cannabis grower in the country.
Well, the largest in Kentucky in the early 19th century was Henry Clay, who was Speaker of the House of Representatives in D.C., running something like 25 enslaved black men to work his hemp fields outside the Lexington area in central Kentucky. So.
Go ahead, finish that.
No, there's the first documented hemp crop in Kentucky is 1775, when Kentucky was still a county of the colony of Virginia. So it's been part of Kentucky culture since before the Revolutionary War, before statehood. It's been a part of Kentucky culture since the beginning of Kentucky, even when it wasn't legal. So the Cornbread Mafia element to this takes place between the Hemp for Victory moment that you were talking about during World War II and our current state of re-legalizing, because we're not legalizing cannabis at a national level, we're re-legalizing it, as you've pointed out. And we're in this transitional period of changing the way that we see this plant that had been such an important part of our agricultural economy before it was used, as you point out, for racist enforcement of communities of color by by imposing laws upon them, incarcerating them, stripping them of their right to vote, so that they couldn't be productive members of society.
And if we look back at the legacy, you just said nailed it. You look back at the legacy of hemp and cannabis in Kentucky, dating back to the 17th century. Give me an idea of just what the attitudes were before you started recognizing some of your classmates, family members were being arrested. I'm sure that it was just part of society that nobody talked about, nobody made a big deal about. But I'm sure that every now and then some people sat back on their back porches and smoked a hemp cigarette or smoked cannabis, and nobody made a big deal about it, right? In the 60s and 50s and 60s and 70s in Kentucky.
So my book reporting for Cornbread Mafia goes down this road. I'm trying to figure out when I'm working on that book, how far back can I go in living memory? What's the oldest living memory I can get of cannabis from where I'm from, and how does that attitude change over time? And principally, it goes back to the other big question of the book that I was reporting. Why did this thing happen in Central Kentucky? Why was the biggest marijuana syndicate in American history in Central Kentucky and not California or Texas or Florida or New York? Why did it happen in my community? And the reason came back over and over again to almost every one of these men that were arrested were Catholic, grew up Catholic, raised Catholic. I'm from a Catholic community, a rural white Catholic community in Central Kentucky. What's this connection? And it came back to, as you point out, prohibition. Because before prohibition, in my town, there were 9 active alcohol distilleries employing hundreds of Catholic men. And the moment alcohol becomes illegal in 1919, all of those men are put out of a job. Only thing they know to do to support their families is criminalized. So they have a choice to make. Do they break the law to support their families, or do they let their families go hungry? And as a community, this whole community decides to break the law together and to keep a culture of silence to prevent outsiders, federal investigators from prosecuting and persecuting the community by being really tight-knit and keeping their mouth shut. So it fostered this culture of us against ism, of our community against the world, and 2 generations later, that feeling, that culture, that mindset still existed. So when the grandsons of these prohibition guys go off to the Vietnam War, they come back to Kentucky with a knowledge of cannabis and its value in other places, and have immediate connections nationwide because of the connections they've made in the Army, in the military, overseas. They're able to bring it back and start cultivating cannabis on a large scale and moving it at a large scale almost instantly. So we're talking like 1970, these guys were operational.
And we're talking 1970, when a lot of people, I can remember back in 70, 71, 72, where, there used to always be this big saying about Mexican weed. But the Mexican weed that we were probably getting up on the East Coast was probably Kentucky weed.
There was a lot of that. Before these cornbread guys had established a name for themselves that Kentucky was a good place to grow cannabis, they were disguising the Kentucky grown weed as if it were grown in Mexico, Colombia, Panama, Jamaica, places where people were familiar with getting marijuana. They would lay it out on the ground and spray it with lemon juice to make it to change its color so they could say it was from a different place before Kentucky had a reputation on its own. And then by the mid 80s rolls around, when Kentucky has established itself as a great place to grow cannabis, now they're growing cannabis in other states because helicopter enforcement from the Kentucky State Police has run them out of Kentucky. So they're growing it in Midwestern states, bringing it back to Kentucky and selling it as Kentucky grown cannabis to buyers, in some cases from the same state they had grown it in. Like, they're growing it in Ohio, bringing it back to Kentucky, and then selling it to people in Ohio as if it's Kentucky weed because it has more value that way.
And I remember, and this is a walk down memory lane, but I can remember as a kid, and my high school years, I'm thinking, I don't know, it might have been 71, 72. I remember one friend who I played a band, and my bandmates were always getting it. And I remember one time at one guy literally got the most weed I'd ever seen in any given setting. Was maybe about 2 pounds worth, and he brought it to band practice, and we were chop it up and help him get ready to move a little bit of it around himself. And I remember the fact that he claimed that it was Mexican weed, but it was packed in newspapers. And the newspapers were, I don't remember if it was Kentucky, but I remember distinctly that it was newspapers from the South. And I'm saying to myself, now, how the hell do people in Mexico get a newspaper to pack their weed in before they sent it to the United States? And it was just a question that I'd always had. I mean, I must have asked that question like 60 times. How does Mexican weed come to the United States and U.S. newspapers? And then now you're really answering my question, because it was weed that was grown here in the United States. And, I've known, I will tell you, since the mid 70s that, contrary to what that belief was by some, that California weed was the best, I had always known that Tennessee, Northern Tennessee and Kentucky and, that area was kind of like the breadbasket of, and up the Appalachian Trail. I can remember walking the Appalachian Trail when I was, got out of high school and was in the military, and I was, we would go take these weekend, vacations and go cruise along the Appalachian Trail. And I can remember seeing marijuana just growing all along the trail, because I was told that, people had flown above and just dropped some seeds down, making it impossible for them, the DEA, to literally scour all of that real estate to find every plant, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, that also goes to once in 1987, when the Reagan administration puts in property seizure, asset forfeiture for cannabis cultivation, it stops being grown on people's farms. People stop growing it on their own property because that property is now at risk. And so growing cannabis on public land becomes the new tactic and technique in the illegal cannabis cultivation space, because it protects a person from getting their land seized as a result of the cultivation. So that also may play a part in why something's being grown on the trail.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's part of the reason why anywhere that they could drop some off on federal property, they were growing as much as they could on federal property, knowing that it wasn't going to be able to be seized. So why don't you, let's go back a little bit and talk about, you graduated from journalism and, from college, right? Went to school for journalism. And
Yes,
but what made you decide to trek down this path of cannabis instead of, going off to write about, anything? In '87, hell, it could have been the fall of the wall, and the beginning of what was our Middle Eastern, foray into now a 20-year-long war. Why did you choose cannabis over that?
Look, you gotta write what you know, and so I did a lot of schooling to get to a point where I could tackle a book length project. I went to a liberal arts school here in Kentucky called Center College. It's a really good school for me to start out at. I went straight to the Brown University Creative Writing Program, and that gave me the understanding that I could be a professional writer. And I moved to New York, but I was having trouble finding a role as a creative writer outside of journalism. And so I started working in journalism, and then went to the Columbia Journalism School, and the Columbia Journalism School got the techniques and tools necessary to tackle this project. So what was fascinating about this Cornbread Mafia story wasn't just that it was the biggest in American history, according to the feds, but none of these guys talked. Of the 70 guys that were arrested, none of them cooperated. So there was this story here to write, but that no one had ever cracked the nut because no one would talk. And
how would you, like, if you could take us on a little journey? I'm so sorry that I have not read your book yet, but I'm going to read it this weekend. I'm hopefully going to get a copy of it, the paperback. And if you had to take us on a journey of the book and just kind of synopsize it, take us on a little journey. Make sure people at home understand why they should go out and get a copy of it to read it, and so they get all the detail. But give us a little bit of a journey, a little taste of your book.
Sure. So of these 70 guys that were arrested, none of them talk. And so the federal government, the prosecutors, this task force that was created to crack this organization was stuck. They were stuck because they had no witnesses. They were trying to run a RICO case, an organized crime prosecution against this whole organization, and they were thwarted because the community, the men that they had arrested, would rather do the time than be the witness. And so with 70 options, 70 men, they had no witnesses for this organized crime prosecution that they had laid out. So frustrated by this, the feds in the summer of 1989 held a press conference here in Louisville at the federal courthouse, where they laid out their whole case against these men without giving any of them an opportunity to defend themselves. And in the course of that press conference, one of the prosecutors referred to them as the Cornbread Mafia. And that Cornbread Mafia phrase captured the imagination of the assembled media in the room. It hit the wire services. It ran on headlines in newspapers across the country and around the world. I interviewed a woman from my hometown who at the time was working as an accountant for PricewaterhouseCoopers in Sydney, Australia. And she goes to lunch one day and then comes back from lunch, and all of her coworkers have plastered her cubicle with headlines from the Sydney Morning Herald that say Cornbread Mafia all over them. And that was her hometown.
Wow.
And so this is the story that captured the imagination of the media and the press at the time. And in the process, really traumatized my hometown and all the people in it, because we were inundated by news crews, news vans from the local affiliates from the big networks trying to interview people about this thing that had happened. And these 70 men that were arrested happened over a course of 5 years, from 85 to 89. But the way the cops or the prosecutors laid it out in this press conference, it made people think that it had happened all at once, that they'd send buses down and rounded a bunch of people up. And that's just really not what had happened. So it traumatized our town in a way that really turned people who had been against marijuana or were against marijuana, but were more against how the community was treated by the federal government and then by the media, chasing a story that the federal government had fed them. So my book is an exploration of this criminal syndicate, but then taking that criminal syndicate and putting it in an appropriate cultural history so that people understand how we got here. It wasn't just something that happened overnight out of the blue in a bubble. This large community of men who decided to go about growing cannabis, it just didn't happen overnight. It happened for a variety of reasons. And some of those were cultural relative to their Catholicism and the Catholic culture that extends through Prohibition. And some of it was purely economic. The tobacco economy had collapsed. The unemployment rate in my county was 20% in 1980. And these men were proud men. They would rather work for a living than take a handout. And so they were engaging in criminal activity to feed their families.
And now I'm sure that the Hemp for Victory program was in Kentucky, was it not?
Big time.
So some of these people, literally, next generation, followed suit of their grandfathers and so forth, and continue to grow what they had already been growing anyway.
100%. So some of these guys' fathers, grandfathers, uncles had been involved in the Hemp for Victory movement. So remembered the crop as it existed and were able to consult with these young guys coming back from Vietnam how to grow cannabis, because they remembered as kids during World War II how they had done it. So there was some immediate learned, history. People knew how to grow it. Growing tobacco by the acre wasn't anything new. Making moonshine and hiding a moonshine still was nothing new. All they had to do was grow it and not get caught, and not getting caught was part of how people operated. So it was just something that people slid right into, and right away they were growing it by the acre.
I mean, they tried their best to impress the world with the fact of the volume, 200 tons of cannabis seeds. But what do you think that its economic impact was on the state of Kentucky?
You mean economically?
Yeah, economically. What did that translate into, you think, over the course of the run?
Well, so it's hard to put a number on the money when, guys weren't talking about anything at all. And I was able to squeeze just enough out of these guys to get the story straight, from a cause and effect relationship. Getting a straight accounting of the dollars and cents is much more difficult from a journalistic perspective. But I was able to pin down, a couple of key details that help understand the volume of the economy that we're talking about in the 80s in central Kentucky in this way. My town currently has about 10,000 people in it. In the 80s, it was smaller than that. So we're talking a small town. But in the 80s, it had way more used car dealerships than a town of its size should have had, in retrospect. And a used car lot is a great way to move a lot of $10,000 transactions on books, right? So these used car lots on the books were doing a lot better business than they were perhaps in real life, because a used car lot was a great way to hide a lot of transactions. And then on top of that, you envision like a 1979 Lincoln Continental, and with a trunk space on a vehicle like that might be, you can fit about 150 pounds of cannabis in the trunk of a late 1970s Lincoln Continental. And then you can put 8 of those on a car carrier and move that truck basically anywhere you want to go with 1,000, 1,200 pounds of weed. So that was one piece that I was able to sort of ascertain in terms of getting my head around the scale of the distribution out of my town. And the other thing that I found, which was very fascinating, is, again, hard to forensically figure out the dollars, but the Federal Reserve had to alter the armored car delivery schedule for my town because the banks were getting deposited with too much cash. They had to send more armored cars to my town to get the cash.
Right. And so it just seems hard to fathom how, during the period of time that the mafia operated, how they were able to hide so much money in plain view.
Again, it was the culture. Everyone, people didn't ask questions. People didn't talk. And guys would buy a brand new Corvette on a Friday. They'd wrap it around a tree on a Saturday, and they'd be back with a new Corvette on a Monday.
Got it. And as one of the things that I found very interesting is that as this when the Fed stepped in and started arresting folks, 2 things. One, again, no one talked. Was there a central figure that would have been considered the godfather or the person in charge of it all?
It really wasn't like that. It's fascinating. It's a great question. The Feds call them a cornbread mafia, so you figure there's like some Corleone type. But it was really more organic than that. More of an illicit marketplace than a pyramid type. Rigidly formatted. Boss at the top with lieutenants and soldiers. It was more family groups of brothers and cousins who were operating sort of independently as various cells, and then those crews would either be would either cooperate or be competitive with each other depending on the situation. Like, someone gets an order in for 1,000 pounds, maybe they go to another crew and ask for product to help fill that order. Or also at the same time, maybe they're competing against each other to sell to the same client. So it's there wasn't a strict hierarchy in this particular outlaw world. It existed more of as a loose association.
And as the Fed went after people, were they looking to see if they could identify some ringleader?
They had 3 ringleaders in mind when they were trying to lock it down.
Okay, and then did they lock these guys up? Did they end up going to prison?
Yeah, they all went to prison for various lengths of time. One of them was a fugitive, was arrested. So one interesting thing about this is, as victims of their own success, they were growing outdoor Kentucky cannabis. So the harvest was in the fall, and all that stuff had to be dried and processed and packaged. So it really wasn't available to distribute until December, January. They had a lot. And their buyers would be like, this is great. We're going to need this much again in March. And they're like, what do you mean in March? We're not going to have any more until, next year.
Next year.
But because of the size that they were distributing, they had to generate more supply in the off season. And so then they started smuggling Latin American cannabis in order to supplement their distribution channel while also growing outdoor in America for their original harvest season. So these guys were also bringing in large amounts of Caribbean and Latin American cannabis. And one of these guys, his name was Bobby Joe, was named in a conspiracy prosecution in Savannah, Georgia. And he was one of 30 co-defendants in this case. And he's the only one who didn't crack. Everyone else pointed a finger and he wouldn't. So he took the fall for the whole thing, which was a plot to bring in a shrimp boat load of Colombian cannabis into St. Augustine, Florida. And Bobby Joe, was merely the tail end of it. He was the land distribution from Florida back into Kentucky. But because he was the only one who didn't talk, he got rolled up for this whole operation. And then after he was found guilty, he became a fugitive and was a fugitive for 5 years. So in the end, he did 35 years, I believe, because he had the charge and then he had the extra time for being a fugitive on top of it. Johnny Boone, who's the gentleman on the cover of my book, he did, I believe, 18 years of 20. And the Bickett brothers, Jimmy and Joe Keith Bickett, did 20 and 25 years. Most of the guys that were caught up in this ended up doing 6 months to 3 years. But the ones that they thought were the big guys, they really stepped on.
And I guess a couple of these guys ended up being granted clemency by President Obama.
3 of them.
3 of them.
So one was granted a full pardon, and 2 had their sentences commuted and were let out.
Does that strike you kind of like as ironic that it would take the African American president to grant these guys clemency, whereas this should have been work done by Senator McConnell, because he was really big on the hemp bill and big on its passage. Did he support getting these guys taken out?
Senator McConnell big on the hemp bill, but still also big on cannabis enforcement, and how he draws that line, I'm still unclear on. We applaud Senator McConnell for getting us into hemp legalization. Our business is dependent on Senator McConnell's leadership to get us this far, but we're sort of halfway or a fraction of the way where we need to be. And Senator McConnell seems less inclined to take the next sets of steps. As for it happening under President Obama, of course, we applauded President Obama and his lengthy commutations, not just the 3 from Kentucky, but maybe more than any other president commuting and granting clemency to drug crimes. But we're still waiting for that blanket pardon, that blanket clemency that folks are asking President Biden for all people who were prosecuted under federal law for cannabis crimes over the years, much like Carter did with draft dodgers for the Vietnam War.
Right, absolutely. Now you're no longer working full time as a journalist. You've gone on to found your own hemp company called Cornbread Hemp, right? You did that in 2018 along with your cousin.
That's right.
And how's that going?
It's going great. We work all the time, and it's a fantastic opportunity. As a journalist working today, I was looking for my opportunity to take the knowledge that I'd gained as a journalist, as a book writer, and apply them to the real world in a meaningful way. And as the 2018 Farm Bill started to materialize, we were going to legalize hemp for good with Senator McConnell's leadership, I started realizing this was going to be the opportunity. There were hemp pilot projects that were already underway, already hemp brands making CBD products in the space, in the industry in America, and none of them were doing it in a way that felt right to me. They didn't have a sense of history, a sense of culture. They were marketing their hemp products as this is not weed, this is not marijuana, this is not cannabis, this is something different and new. And it just seemed dishonest to me to market hemp in that way, especially Kentucky hemp, having spent all the time and doing all the work putting together what that history and meant to the culture it comes from. And so it was just this perfect opportunity. My cousin has an MBA and an e-commerce background, and I was coming with this cannabis industry experience and the name recognition, having written the Cornbread Mafia book. And we joined forces and put our heads together. And by the end of 2019, we were the first CBD brand from Kentucky to offer USDA organic CBD products from Kentucky. And that's what we did.
All your products are full flower only extracted, full spectrum.
You got it. And the flower only is a key part of this, right? Most CBD brands are using the whole plant, what they call aerial parts, which means every part of the plant that touches the air. So they're taking the stems and the leaves, and they're grinding it up and pelletizing it, and then extracting the CBD extract from the pellets. But that's why it tastes gross. Folks who get CBD oil that tastes grassy and bitter, it's because of the sticks and stems and the leaves in there. So we do a flower only extraction. It's a much lower yield per pound. We get a fraction of the biomass by only using the flower. But the end result is our CBD oils taste like cannabis flowers, not like the back end of a lawnmower. And we don't need cover flavors like peppermint and cinnamon to cover up the flavor of our product, because our product already tastes exactly how it should.
And what are some of the products that you now offer?
Well, our flagship products are our CBD oils. We offer those in whole flower and distilled, which are both full spectrum. The distilled is lighter, and for folks who are new to hemp, new to cannabis, the distilled is a milder flavor product. And folks use the distilled during the day and a whole flower in the evening. And then we have a full line of certified organic topical CBD products. We have 2 lotions and a hemp balm stick for active adults for their. It's funny because the FDA won't let CBD brands market products and make medical claims. It becomes difficult to talk about what my products are good for. So as we talk about it, I'm catching myself and editing myself on the fly. So if you see me hesitate, it's because our topical products are great for active adults and their muscles and joints, but I can't tell you specifically why or how they might be used and for what reason.
Sure. Doesn't it drive you a little crazy though when you take a look at literally one of the things that has driven me crazy in this industry is the fact that we spend so much time B2B giving information out about how to start a business, but we don't spend a lot of time B2C. Educating the consumer and giving them some information so that they can make a good decision for themselves. And some of that's constrained by law. You're not allowed to educate the consumer, even though we now know that there's a lot of information that's out there that is peer-reviewed, studied, and published in medical journals all over the world. I don't understand why we've hit this point where we still can't talk about things that are medically reported.
Well, it's really instructive where we are in the CBD space as we work to legalize cannabis, that we're going to face the same problem on the other side of cannabis legalization at a federal level. 35 states have medical marijuana programs, commonly understood to be medical marijuana programs. But until the FDA approves cannabis for medical purposes, there can be no federal medical marijuana program, and there can be no marketing of cannabis as medical for any reason until the FDA approves it as such. So we're the hemp-derived CBD, hemp-derived cannabinoid space that we're in now, where cornbread hemp is operating, is in a gray area that's the cusp of the turn of the from before prohibition to to where we are now, this paradigm shift from one way of thinking to another. And it's one of the growing pains of changing an entire nation, entire world's understanding of the cannabis plant. But it's a great place to be. I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. But as we move towards on cannabis, it's something that everyone needs to be clear-eyed about. Legalizing it through Congress is only step one. We've got a lot of work to do on the other side of it.
On the other side of it, I think that's the well, it's like, but then, what are your views on, I know recently, supposedly, the president has, made some statements that aren't on the record about changing his attitude a little bit towards cannabis. But we got to remember that our president who's elected feels that cannabis is still a gateway drug. And, he's got a vice president who, during her tenure as attorney general, ensured the prosecution and incarceration of, as many as anybody had done before her, especially when it comes to people of color. So what do you think? If you had a crystal ball, and you've been in this business now for quite a long time, if you had a crystal ball, what do you think is going to happen in the next year, next 2 years?
Well, my crystal ball keeps changing on this. So I spoke recently with the Cato Institute on this issue, and I told them then that this was January of 21, that we were going to have to wait till the next farm bill. And in the next farm bill, the entire cannabis prohibition exists in one line in the farm bill that restricts the level of THC in legal hemp to 0.3%. And already state agriculture directors are requesting that level be moved up to 1%, which would be great for hemp farmers and for CBD products. But the entire cannabis prohibition as a thing exists in this one line in the farm bill. If we can eliminate that one line in the farm bill, then cannabis is legal. So that's a backstop. So 2 years from now or so, 22, 23, Congress, the agricultural committees in the House and the Senate will mark up the next farm bill, which will be a giant appropriations bill that funds the USDA. And in the process of that farm bill, we can change a lot about cannabis reform in that bill if Congress has not legalized it already, which I thought would be the thing. But then immediately after I had that chat with Cato Institute, then Senator Schumer, Senator Booker, Senator Wyden come out with a memo saying, no, we're going to legalize cannabis this Congress this year. We're going to have a bill in the Senate, on the Senate floor in the first half of 2021. So we're all waiting to see how Senator Schumer prioritizes cannabis reform in the Senate, and how vulnerable Democrats in the House then feel about voting for cannabis reform as they run for re-election in 22.
Yeah, but and again, now if the Farm Bill changes the amount allowed up to 1%, we still have to do something about this congressional scheduling of cannabis as a Schedule I drug.
Well, so what McConnell has done is separated marijuana, which is a racist term for cannabis, and hemp by redefining hemp in the Federal Register as cannabis with not more than 0.3% THC. So hemp, as defined by Congress, has been removed from the drug schedules by definition, and then that definition of hemp is 0.3% THC. So all we have to do is move the limit on THC to above 0.3 to 1%, 2%, 10%, 20%, 100%, and that becomes defined as hemp, and so therefore is removed from the schedules.
Right, but I mean, if we limit it to 1%, you still have cannabis. And right now, what we've been doing in this country, which is, I think, insane, and that's this battle to see how high a